because the tax rates are usually approved by the board
Yep.
in June, and then they're sent to the taxing authorities, which I believe in Hamtramck is only the city of Hamtramck. Other school districts I've been in have had numerous taxing authorities that cross county lines and all that. But the reason why it's important it to be passed in June is that because they are sent to the city, and sometimes they are sent to the city before the board approves them, because the cities or the taxing authorities have to produce their tax rolls and get their tax bills out. And I believe all cities and townships and taxing authorities, they get their tax bills out, especially cities, at July 1st.
Yep.
So they have to have time to process their tax bills and put them into the systems and all that, and get them to the taxpayers, and we're already at June 14th, so.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, because Sherry did,
Okay.
presented a
Okay.
couple weeks ago, so I think the board's familiar, and it didn't appear that anyone had any questions. Is anyone opposed to going straight into the action items? Hearing none?
I
Oh.
have a question.
I was gonna say, aye. Okay, go.
Are we still able to get some clarifications on some things from Ms. Lineham after today?
Yeah, I don't know if you want now. Your vote today off, or would you be okay?
I won't press my vote.
Okay, yeah, no, yeah, you can absolutely follow this, Sherry. CC next. All right, with that said, resolution number 2, we're approving of a final amended budget for the 22-23 fiscal year. Do I have a motion? I heard Headline, do I have a second? I heard Hall first. Motion by Headline, seconded by Hall. Resolved, the Board of Education does hereby approve the final amended 22-23 budget as presented. For new board members, this is the budget for the year that just passed. So at the beginning of a year, we get a proposed budget, like this is how we want to spend the money. Obviously, life happens, and then the district has to spend money how it needs to, and then they update it, and then they give us the amended budget. So that's what Sherry looked at that's what Sherry explained at the COW, and so we've had a chance to look at it, but is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, how do you vote? Hall? Aye. Headwan? Obey? Gahang?
Aye.
Ferris? And I, resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 absent. Resolution number 3, approval of the proposed budget for 23-24 fiscal year. Do I have a motion? I heard Headwan, do I have a second?
Second.
Gahame, motion by Headwan, seconded by Gahame. Result, the Board of Education does hereby approve the proposed budget for 23-24 budget as presented. Do we have any discussion? All right, roll call, how do you vote? Hall?
Aye.
Headwan?
Nay.
Obey?
Aye.
Gahame?
Aye.
Ferris? And I, resolution passes 5 ayes, 1 nay. Would you like to comment on your name?
Yeah, I just would like more detail on things that I have questions that I'm unclear of, so
Okay.
I will ask Gary.
All right, thank you. And resolution number 4, the setting of the tax rate, like we explained, at the time we surrounded, do we have a motion? Headwan, do I have a second?
Second.
I heard Ferris. Motion by Headwan, seconded by Ferris. Result, the Hamtramck Board of Ed, after reviewing the budgetary needs of the school district and reviewing the maximum allowed millage levy, set the school tax mills rates for the fiscal year of 23-24 as follows. They're listed. Do we have any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, oh, okay, go ahead. I heard Headwan first.
What is the current tax millage? Is any of this going to affect the residents by increases in tax millages?
Can you repeat the question, or go again, the mic?
What's the current tax millage rate for the city of Hamtramck residents, and is these proposed, are these the same? Is it just a lateral move, or is it gonna increase anybody's?
These are the Hamtramck Public Schools tax rates that go to the city of Hamtramck.
Okay.
So are you asking what these are for, or?
Yes, clarify.
Okay, yeah, so that I can do, because these are, except for the recreation, which I'm not too familiar with recreation millages, but Sherry told me there's only like 3 in the state. But the first 2 are your operating. They go on to the non-homestead tax rolls. That is, they don't go to the residents, the 18 mills. And it looks like you guys might have had some Headley overrides, and that's why you have 2 separates, millages for the operating. Again, I'm not super clear on that, but usually the 18 mills is what, that you are, the most that you can allow, or tax, and that is for your operating millage. And why that 18 mills is important, because if you get anything less, which I believe you guys are a little bit under 18 with the 2, the state does not make that up in their state aid payment. The state aid payments are made up of local taxes and, sales taxes and all that, that is generated, the set tax that's on your, each individual homeowner's roll. And anything below 18 mils, you're not gonna get that made up for, that goes to your general fund. They are critical to be passed, and I know the dates are coming up for 2024, because if a community votes the operating millage down, the state will not make up that 18 mils, and I don't know the exact calculations, but we're talking millions of dollars for your general fund budget. So that's very critical for it to be passed, and, I can't get into all the details why it's below 18 mils, but there's some Headley overrides, which is a very complex law. And I don't know if Sherry explained that at the cow meeting, but, that's something that, probably needs to be looked in, maybe to do a Headley override vote, but again, that would have to be with legal, counsel as well.
Nick, I can answer Mr. Headwan's question. So last year's, setting of the tax rates for 22-23 was the same, 17.4402.
Oh, that
for-
was, there's just an
Yep.
increase.
And then it's a little bit lower for the recreation, it's 4.0998, and last year was 4.1060. And then it's a little bit higher, so I think it kind of switched out. Your sinking fund for this year is 3.7287, and last year was 3.7324. Actually, both of them went down a little. So they didn't increase for sure.
And you said that the community members have to vote on?
All of them have to vote. You can see in that last column, I don't know if you have the 4029 in your packet or whatever, but even the sinking fund is, the deadline of the expiration date of that millage is 12/23.
So-
That's something that's gonna have to be addressed in this next fiscal year,
Right.
if you want the sinking fund. And the sinking fund is for building repairs, it's in its own separate fund.
Right, so my question is, when the taxpayers or when the community members go to vote for this, is their understanding gonna be that there will not be an increase to their personal property taxes?
But now, it goes on their real estate, it doesn't go on their,
Real estate, yeah.
well, it goes on their real estate
It's
taxes.
just like when they purchase.
Personal property is separate from real estate.
Okay.
Most I'm a home, and my real estate taxes are through my home ownership, I don't have any personal property.
Okay.
So I don't know if I'm understanding your question, because all these gonna go on their real estate taxes.
But I think he's asking, is there going to be a spike? Like,
Yes.
the concern with a lot of residents is they don't want an increase in their taxes as city residents, since there's a lot, but comparing the actual numbers,
Right, is what I just want a clear
okay.
answer.
Well, they have a vote, and then it'll be in the proposal, what the operating is, the most that you can do is 18,
Right.
okay? But the recreation, I'm not too familiar with how that works, but the sinking fund, whatever the district, the school board wants to propose for a sinking fund, I think there's some caps, you put that into the proposal, and if the voters see it as an increase from, something they did the prior, because that's obviously gonna come up for a vote, they can always turn it down.
Right, but we wanna get ready and prepared, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
is, can you give us that information, Usman? And I think maybe he.
Mr. Ray?
Yes, my question was to clarify, because
Yeah.
we talked about it, that we need to have a committee
Mhm.
to clear the residents. This is not a new, this is something.
Yes, it's just a renewable.
renewable.
Right.
And also it's not gonna add to the taxes, so to answer your question, this is what the school district has to come up with a plan. Before we approve it, we should have a committee that will explain and has a plan for this campaign, so we can pass it. Otherwise, if there is no information, there is no campaign, it's not gonna pass, because people freak out that taxes
They're
are
already paying
raised.
taxes so high in Hamtramck, so that's
It's
why
not
I'm
gonna-
trying to.
Yeah, but we have to have flyers, we have to have campaign, we have to have out and tell the people, because you're gonna get, last village, they were faking flyers that it's gonna increase, and it was not increasing.
That's why it's built.
So, we have to make sure that we have a campaign, we have a committee that works hard to get this passed. And that's no question, is there
I
a
think,
committee yet?
I think we have two advertisement in place that we can use to advertise for us, so.
Well, even with that advertisements for it failed because of false information that was being spread and Hamtramck, I feel like the district itself didn't do an adequate enough job to inform the community members of, you know, the real facts that's presented to them.
So the
we
question
need to
isn't for
have
you, Nick, it's
somebody-
more for Ms. Ahmed. So
Right.
Ms. Ahmed, can you ensure that, so we're voting on the actual tax rate, but we also have to renew the millage. So these are two separate things. The tax rate we still have to vote on, but the actual process of
Yeah.
campaigning for the millage renewal, can you please campaign strategy that's in multiple languages and will reach our parents? Is that, am I understanding both of you?
Yes, it's-
Okay.
this, we're gonna approve it to go in the public.
To the city, yeah.
To the
And then-
city,
And then the
yes.
elections are coming up,
But,
so.
you know,
Mhm.
this is the main mistake. We should have had planned before, we have to have, you know, before we send, we already know that we have campaign, we're gonna work hard. We're gonna pass it, I'm not against it,
Mhm.
if everybody wanted to do. But as we should be prepared before,
Yeah.
because last time we were not prepared, we get questions that we cannot answer from residents.
I see.
And now we wanted to have committee, if we have a question, we direct them to the right people to answer their
Ms.
questions.
Ahmed, can you work with our possible PR firm as well and get the board members moved in, and if they want to join the committee, they can, just for
And
clarity.
honestly, I think that we have the community facilitators that can go out in the community and visit local mosques, you know, churches, whatever, and
Old school or
provide
not.
facts and correct information before the false information, you know what I mean? We have to be proactive.
So-
Yeah, and I'm just coming from my previous school district, which is not too far as River Rouge Schools, and they just passed their operating millage, and there was a very concern that it wasn't gonna be passed. You get with and I just recommend to you that you keep the renewals that explain the difference between the sinking fund, which is coming up in a couple of months, and would be voted on, you know, soon, in November or in like May. But the operating is even more critical, because again, if the community members voted down that 18 mils, whatever it is for, and it's millions, if it doesn't pass, that would be closing down school buildings, laying off numerous teachers, because the Department of Ed and does not make that up in the state aid payment. Again, there's two components, local taxes and then, you know, the rest of the state taxes.
Sounds like
And-
Nick could be on this committee. Volunteering. To be on the committee.
Yeah, I'd be more than, you know, because that's, I mean, it's so critical that you have like town hall meetings and stuff like that to explain the difference, because it's a very complex, you know, the sinking fund and the operating millage. But the other thing you always have to say is that the 18 mills are not, as long as they file their homestead affidavit, and they only own one home in the city, they don't rent it out or whatever, they don't have to pay the 18 mills. It's on non-homestead, which are apartment buildings, businesses. So that's the other thing, the 18 mills is not gonna be borne by the local homeowner that owns one home in the city of Hamtramck. And that's very key to realize too.
So we do have some staff that are interested to support the campaign, and Yemeni American News has been contacted to see how we could get the information out to the community, because it will actually be a decrease in what they currently are paying. And we just need to get the right information out to the public, and then be available if they have any questions, and see what we can do to provide them accurate information. So Rashid from the Yemeni American News said his reporter will return next week, so we'll be meeting and seeing what we could do to strategically get that information out to the community.
Yeah, it sounds like everyone has the same goal.
Concerns, yeah.
Yep. Any other discussion? Amigo Hall?
Aye.
Headline? Obey?
Aye.
Fair? I thank you, Gahan.
Aye.
And I resolution passes, 6 ayes, 1 absent. Resolution number, oh no, we're done. All right, Ms. Freen, I know you're busy, so you're up next for our 9th AP spring report. Freen Alavi and Christy Taylor. It's a report that's required to be given in a public meeting once a year. Oh, thank you, Nick.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Assalamu alaikum.
So,
So the public act
that we wanted just to make sure is that even though the typical growth, the numbers are between 40 and 60%, 70 almost, our stretch growth this year is amazing. So that means we are closing the gap. Students that are below grade level are performing on grade level now or getting closer to on grade level, or kids that were on are now above grade level.
This is directed from the side. So yeah, like she said, a bunch of numbers that are thrown at us, with really not too much content that we've received to like kind of understand this in a better detail. Can you provide us with maybe the last year, couple of years of the direction each building has gone, and are we actually meeting the growth that the state is wanting us to meet? Which buildings are not improving at all, and which buildings are exceeding or, above the
So
standard?
You're looking at trend data for multiple years.
Trend data for multiple years.
Can I
Yes,
just-
that's,
Can I just speak to that a little bit?
yes.
So we have to be mindful that we're remote and there isn't, because iReady is not a state test, it's a district test. So there isn't any kind of target for the state for iReady, like
Yeah.
MSTEP, right? So we have to be mindful of that. I mean,
Yeah.
there is trend data, but I'm just saying that we have to keep in mind that.
What I'm with Kristen is like M-STEP as well, like
Right, I understand.
overall growth of our district and our schools, where we at and where we should be, and which ones are, considered, failing or, so, because I'd like to know more detail and I'd like to have some research for my, better understanding if we can do provide
Sure.
that.
And again, this is a local assessment that we're required to administer, and then we're required to report out at the end of the year. But we definitely could provide you with multiple and varied data, trend data, and have you look to see how our students are performing
Correct.
for each building and a district lens as well.
Yes. Thank you.
Do our kids take the NWEA?
No,
I
I think,
I is replacement for
Yeah.
NDB.
so iReady is the test that we take for district.
Okay.
It used to be NWEA.
They're very similar to us.
You already or not, but thank you for you and your team for making the code of conducts. I know that took a lot of work and a lot of time and effort, and I don't know if I personally have expressed my,
You did.
great,
Thank you
okay.
again. It's always nice to hear. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. O'Hagan?
Is this data for all students, including virtual, or?
So this, did we include?
It's
Yeah, it's got
included in
the, within the
it's
schools, so
included.
each of the virtual, like each of the schools, whatever their virtual students were, it's included.
So all the virtual students are assigned to a home building, so the Dickinson East virtual students are included in the Dickinson East scores.
It's not a separate code, school code. The DE students that are virtual, they're still coded with the
That same
Dickinson East.
school. Okay.
Correct.
Is there a way to distinguish them,
Yeah.
to see what the difference?
We
and
can
see
do
what-
that, oh, yeah, yeah.
We'll get you the report, yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Yes, if you wanna look at specific, schools like, and the specific groups, I should say, we can access data per the EL students, per SPED students,
Yes.
variety of different
That
would-
special
that would be nice.
populations. Yes.
And then if you're from high school, you can look in there also for trend data and not just M-STEP, it's gonna show you all, like, all the demographics. It's gonna show you like attendance rates and all that.
Can you put that in the next board report, the link to,
Mhm.
okay. Questions for after your Christie?
No, I haven't, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both. All right, so next up we have audience participation. This portion of the agenda is for citizens to address any questions or comments to the board. The board will listen, take comments and questions and advisement, and not respond at this time. The presiding officer will refer questions to the super for research and purpose. Joanne, any?
I believe all these forms are for the next meeting.
Next meeting, okay. And then we have 10 minutes for additional board discussion. Do we have any for the budget here?
Yes, I just also wanted to like add to why I voted no.
Yep, go ahead.
So we have asked multiple times collectively as a group for bringing back security to our district, what it's gonna cost us versus what we're paying now.
Yeah.
We've asked multiple times for getting our own bus transport back, the cost of what it costs us now versus what it costs of bringing it back in-house district. And our janitorial staff, the cost of what we're paying now and the cost of what it would be to bring it back in district. To this date, I have not received a clear answer, and I asked if they could be included so we can know for the next year what, price difference was. So until I get more information and clarity on that, this is the reason that I voted no, so.
Ms. Ahmed, I believe Ms. Lanyon put security within budget this year, correct?
For the high school.
Just
So-
for the high school,
so
but we're
just-
talking about
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
schools.
but that's a start. So as I understand it, we're gonna have security staff, maybe not call them, maybe not their only purpose to be security, but hall monitors, I would say, safer is the word. I don't know what they are, but we definitely are not gonna work with that contractor for
We're
HHS.
looking at the safety. The safety grant to determine safety consultants, in our buildings. We want to move away from the language of, security and things like that and make it a little bit more positive. We are looking at that, yes, for the high school in particular, yes.
And then, I think the other information you requested, Mr. Headlines, can be trickled in earlier rather than June. So I think we can get that as soon as we settle the finance.
Right, until I get those
Okay, I
answers,
see. Yeah.
then my vote is the
I
same.
understand. Thank you. Any additional discussion for the budget hearing?
Can we budget, hopefully for the next year, better microphones and a better camera system for our board meetings?
Process.
Because we've been asked, I think we asked about that last year.
I feel like bringing that up just jinxed them because they haven't staticked yet,
Well,
but
I
yeah.
mean, it's like kind of
No, I understand.
inconvenient to like try to share.
I think
Yeah.
last time we
I think
asked, I
Mark-
think he said it's on
Mark's
order.
coming a little bit later,
That's-
but
we can
I
ask
think
him.
Mark said it was on order.
it's, it's been ordered.
That's-
Thank
It
you.
might take a year.
Right.
Alright. Anything else? Alright, resolution 5, meeting adjournment, do I have a motion? I have Headline, do I have a second?
Second.
I heard Gahan, motion by Headline, second by Gahan. Resolved that the budget hearing be adjourned at, what time is it? 5:32 PM, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-5, so we get a break till 6. By Ayash, for all those who participate, you may now rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Mr. Correa, can you please lead?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call of members, Ayash, Perez, Headline, Hall,
Present.
Watson, Obey,
President.
Behane,
Present.
and Ferris. We have quorum. Resolution number 1, executive agenda, do I have a motion? I heard Headline, do I have a second? I heard Ferris first. Motion by Headline, seconded by Ferris. Resolved that upon the recommendation of the super, the Board of Ed accepts and approves the agendas with any additions or deletions. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 6 ayes, 1 absent. So as a reminder for our board calendar updates, our June cow was canceled because a soccer game was scheduled during that time. Ms. Ahmed already talked to, forgot his name,
Sean.
Sean, thank you. So it won't happen again, second and fourth Wednesdays. Will not have meetings, we will not have games scheduled, so it wouldn't coincide with the meetings, okay? And then as a reminder, traditionally, we don't have July meetings. We convene on August 9th for our regular and August 23rd for our cow. And it is the summer, do any board members know in advance they cannot make it? It's okay, it's the summer, but anyone in advance know they can't make it? August 9th, so second Wednesday, and August 23rd. Which one, the 9th? I know Obey's gonna be absent, anyone else gonna be absent for any August meetings? Figured, the nurses, y'all get a grace for me, okay. So that's it, but we would still have quorum, and then we have a lot of students today presenting, so I don't wanna eat up too much of their time.
I have a couple of things.
Yes.
So speaking of the DCFC, can update on the ramp that, not the ramp, but the
Speed bump?
speed bump that's supposed to go
Yes.
in front, as well as during graduation, me and Ms. Hall, we were watching the stands. There's people sitting on the top. So when is the fence gonna go up? Because that, one of those people falls in with,
Dangerous.
you know, I think there was how many, like 5 or 6 that were just sitting up there? So we need to just make sure that the speed bump and the fence is priority, hopefully soon.
Okay. As far as the speed humps are concerned, the principals were given the opportunity to share where there were areas of concerns and provide that information to me and to Rich. And then that information will be shared with Max, the city manager. And we were looking to have a joint meeting just so that we could become familiar with the staff at both our district and at the city, but it looks like it's just gonna be me and Max, so we're looking forward to meeting and we're just looking to see from there, what are the costs, what would the project entail, could this be done before school resumes? So that's as far as the progress with the speed humps, but with the fence, I will communicate once more with Sean.
And then, since there is no fence, I feel like we should have some kind of sign saying if you are sitting there and you fall, it is at your own risk to just protect us from any liability.
Follow up with George on the liability.
Yeah, regarding the fence, we have discussed, I think, before with the DCRC, that to have a screen that
Yeah.
provides
Privacy.
privacy for the neighbors, because the neighbors gonna have, they're not feeling comfortable during the games and have, family together.
Are they funding that, by the way?
Yes. DCFC is.
Okay, can you get us update on that in the board of health?
Okay, and then just to let you know, Treasurer Jahim has been the kind of board/community liaison with DCFC. We basically, he has been included in some of the communications, so he's also a part of the conversation, acting as a liaison.
Perfect. Anything else? We can always come back to board discussion, I just feel bad for the kids.
I think as far as speed bumps, most of the schools, I think I drove by all the schools, they're pretty much covered.
Yeah,
The only places are parks, Veterans Park, Roosevelt,
I think
Tour
Velocity
Stadium.
has them.
Even with the speed bumps that we have, I went to the city council meeting and told them that that's ridiculous. Those are not even considered speed bumps. After the summer, they're like just,
Snow.
I wouldn't even call it a bump, just like a pothole.
Yeah.
I think they upgraded, the one on Talbeda is really good.
Yeah, the one on top there has always been good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the other ones, if you
Yeah.
drive over them, like, this hasn't been been in whatever, a year or so, and they're flat.
Take a look into.
So then,
first
in
aid notes.
addition to looking to add new speed humps, we might need to revisit the
When we-
previously installed ones.
When we originally spoke about it as a group with the city, we asked them if we can have the same ones that Detroit has installed everywhere.
Those rubber ones?
The rubber ones. Because now we're looking at spending more money trying to fix a problem that could have been, stopped from the beginning already, so,
Right,
Yeah.
do it right the first time, like.
right.
All right, anything else? All right, we have a lot of student presentations today, and I'm excited about that. So the first,
Can I just say something first?
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. Tonight, I would like to take a moment to reflect upon the recent accomplishments of our exceptional students and express our gratitude to the hardworking staff and at HPS who have played an integral role in shaping their success. It fills me with immense pride to witness the remarkable growth and achievements of our students. Their unique lived experiences have provided them with invaluable opportunities to develop essential speech skills, cultivate a deep understanding of environmental advocacy, excel in local and statewide competitions, explore the realms of design and engineering, and nurture their creativity by producing outstanding, award-winning short films. Their triumphs stand as a testament to their dedication and perseverance. However, we must also make sure that we do not overlook the immense contribution of our devoted staff members. It is through their unwavering commitment that our students have been able to thrive. Whether it is the additional time they dedicate, their efforts in securing grants, or the countless late evenings spent refining their craft, our staff members have constantly gone above and beyond their call of duty. Their relentless dedication has left a huge impact on the lives of our students, one that will resonate with them for a lifetime. So we would begin with, who's first on the agenda?
So the Outdoor Adventure Club
All
to
right.
Washington DC with Jessica Madden and her group, so come on up.
I'm going to merely introduce them and let them take over because they do that really well. There were 5 students who we were able to travel to Washington DC last month, courtesy of Sierra Club and Detroit Outdoors, and we have our Detroit Outdoor community partners here in the room. So I'd like to also introduce them and say a huge thank you. So maybe I'll start with them and then I'll introduce the students and then they can take over.
Sounds good.
So we're here with Garrett Dempsey is here from Detroit Outdoor Sierra Club. Jack Kyle and Uriel Vargas. And Detroit Outdoors has just done a tremendous amount of, they've given us a tremendous amount of opportunities, both in the science classes, Outdoor Adventure Club, all around, many experiences with camping and all kinds of environmental immersion experiences.
Yep. Uriel invited me out to the hiking of the waterfalls in the winter.
I heard.
I chickened out, but I actually climb up the icicles, I guess, of the waterfall in the winter. So he's really good at recruiting, and I'm happy he's part of this group. Trying, I'm a chicken, you know I am. But thank you all for being here, and thank you for sponsoring.
Yes. So we have Uday Param, it's a 10th grader. So come on up, Uday. Inkaras Al-Kayali is an 11th grader. Dora Al-Gahim is a 10th grader. And Naz Begum is also a 10th grader and not here tonight because they're studying for exams tomorrow is Kilisa Blue. So these are for you, Paula. Microphone is yours. Come forward. You can squeeze into it too, or you can stand, whatever.
Don't be
works.
shy, whatever's comfortable.
Or you can stand. Whatever it is.
Whoever's gonna talk in this picture.
I mean, we're all gonna talk.
Wait, before y'all talk, y'all have awards for attending, so Ms. Ahmed, wanna recognize them?
Yes.
Right.
Oh, there you go.
And Mrs. Madden, if you could share about the grant, because it's a big deal.
Sure, maybe afterwards?
Afterwards, perfect.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you.
Sorry. All right, before y'all start, Ms. Ahmed would like to give you guys awards for this awesome presentation, and for the awesome trip.
Way to go. Way to go. And then Mrs. Madden, this is for you.
Oh,
And for the student.
thank you.
All right, cutie pies, how was DC?
It was amazing and great.
What was your favorite part?
Everything.
Can you walk us through what you did, like from the first day, pick a fun day and tell us what you did.
They have an amazing slideshow. Yeah, so they probably want to work through it and describe. So.
Take it away, y'all.
Okay, so we're here to talk about our Oak Week Adventure, brought to you by Outdoors Adventure Club.
For Oak Week in May 2023, we were invited by Gary Dempsey of Detroit Outdoor Sierra Club Advocacy in Washington, D.C., known as Oak Week, organized by the Outdoor Alliance for Kids. Our teacher and head coach of the Outdoor Adventure team, Jessica Marin, accompanied us on the trip. 5 of us, Kalisa, Nora, Uday, Faraz, traveled to on bus of Outdoor Access and training, along with members from Detroit Outdoor, YMCA, SOS Outreach, Detroit, and back to the lab.
So here the adventure begins. This is the first day of Oak Week.
You guys are snazzy.
It's beautiful.
First day of the conference, we all gathered at Rock Creek Park, where we participated in ice-breaking activities, listened to Oak speakers, and embarked on hikes along Rock Creek Park trails.
Uday had the honor of being a speaker on the youth panel dedicated to addressing the barriers faced by the underserved youth in connecting with nature. He passionately advocated for the importance of safe, green spaces, air qualities, and accessible transit for visiting natural parks and spaces.
Story of interior depth. As the day come to a fulfilling end, we were fortunate enough to hear a talk by and take a picture with Secretary of the Interior. Her present and advocacy effort to protect our environment deeply inspired us.
So Oak Hour ceremony. Later that evening, we attended a reception on the Wilderness Society rooftop, where Nazma was awarded the prestigious Oak Award for her invaluable work in helping establish our Outdoor Adventure Club in Hamtramck. And
Advocacy Day. The next day, we visited the Sierra Club headquarters to prepare for our Advocacy Day on Capitol Hill. We learned about important legislation like Every Kid Outdoors Act and Transit to Trails into Justice, which aim to close the nature.
Meetings later, we met with Representative Jimmy Gomez, Representative Sherry Thunder, and staff member from Senate Debbie Stabina office at the Capitol building. We discussed how our experience in nature through the Outdoors Adventure Club have positively impacted us. The delegates assured us of their support for legislation ensuring access to nature for American youth.
Following our advocacy activities, we also had time for some sightseeing in Washington DC. We, with the privilege of witnessing a congressional voting session, taking memorable photos in front of the Washington House, and enjoying the game of hockey sack at the base of Washington.
The following morning, we received a special invitation to a gathering hosted by Friends of the Anacostia River at Anacostia National Park. We embarked on a delightful boat ride along the Anacostia River, where we had the opportunity to spot river otters, herons, and several bald eagles. We also participated in fun activities such as roller skating and double dutch, followed by delicious barbecue lunch. And I'll tell, that day was amazing, and I learned how to do roller skate that day.
And double dutch.
Yeah, double dutch.
Smithsonian National Museum of the Native American, where we immerse ourselves in the rich history and cultures of indigenous people of the Americas, learning about the impacts of colonization and the invaluable contribution of Native people and contemporary society.
Yeah, that was fun.
As souvenirs, before departing, we made sure to pick up souvenirs from the gift shop, serving as last memento for our remarkable experience.
That's beautiful. Is it done?
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe just tell them about this picture for us, if you wouldn't mind. I'm putting you on the spot. That beautiful
This
picture.
is
right
this
there.
was on our way back to Hamtramck basically. We camped in campsite in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And the night sky was full of stars. It was like a sea of stars. And this is a picture we took.
So clear. Good job.
And it was perfect motto of our
Explore the cosmos.
yeah, explore the cosmos. Perfect motto of our explore the cosmos.
There you go, Gina.
I know they were reading, but I can assure you, these students spoke from their hearts when
Y'all
we
did a
were,
wonderful job.
when we were visiting congressional delegates. It was really beautiful. So, kind of the next adventure for our Outdoor Adventure Club, and this is really due to, our partnerships, our community partnerships with Detroit Outdoors, Sierra Club, Boat, SOS, and then the students who keep saying, when's our next activity? When's our next activity? We were able to get a grant through the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation through Project Play. It's a $20,000 grant that will be able to fund us next year to have an official fall outdoor adventure team to help support our ski snowboard program that we do with SOS Outreach, and then also I don't know if I said fall or spring, sorry, a fall team, a spring team, and then winter sports team. So we're
Just
really
can you
excited about
increase the number of participants?
Yeah.
Or-
If the administration and is willing to kick in some finances, absolutely. We're hoping from the budget that we did, we should be able to include 20 students in the fall team. And
Okay.
we'd like to have that representative fairly of our students, both in many ways. We want it to be a fair representation of our Hamtramck students. And then last year SOS allowed us to bring 35 kids to participate. It kind of depends how much room they have. And then again in the spring we'll be able to take 20 students. Really busing is the issue, and most of the money will pay for busing. Also some stipends for
These
the
aren't like
teachers,
regular
so-
buses, right? Are they like?
No, the ones where we have to rent to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, we can talk if you like.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Miss Madden, if you need chaperones, I'm available.
Thank you all for presenting.
I'm sorry we're taking time. We have something for Detroit Outdoors. Maybe Nora, if you don't mind giving this, just as a thank you. It's already open. Can you guys? It's a picture.
Can we get a picture of just with the students and the outdoor team, please? Everybody had a look for a picture.
Miss Ahmed.
Board members, would you like to join us?
I think Farhan,
I think students in the front. Possibly. Here. The other team, everybody all in the front here.
Oh, we're all gonna look this way?
Yeah.
Sitting down?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so students, maybe you could sit right here, and then we'll be right behind you. Where's the bus?
Do you mind taking?
And the other two students are talking.
Okay. Oh, he's got, is that one?
All right, ready? Everyone say.
guys gotta scoot in more.
Sal, can you squat a second? Squat.
I was gonna say even go on that side, okay. I'll go.
2, 3, 2, 1. Outdoors.
Outdoors. Maybe next coordinate outside. Sounds good to me.
Thank you. All right. Thanks again to the Hamtramck High Outdoor Adventure Club. Next up, we also have another lovely dedicated teacher, Leanne Horn, will be presenting on the MDOT Design and Buildings Bridge Challenge. Leanne? And Mr. President.
Good evening, Superintendent and honored school board and all of our guests that are with us. MDOT offers a program every year where they really inspire students to look into the career of civil engineering. So our students were given a problem, like the 9th and 10th graders were given a bridge design and the 11th and 12th graders were given a bridge design, and then the students put in hours of work. They built many different prototypes until then they tested them. And many students at the, teachers at the high school helped out. Of course, myself and Mr. Preston, but also Mr. Klaus, and also who helped with graphic arts too. You had, Mr. Albrecht gave suggestions. All the science teachers were giving input and helping them out and suggestions. So it was really a team effort. Unfortunately, our senior group, our senior junior team didn't make it, but our freshman sophomore team did. And when they arrived there were I don't know, over like, it looked like 1,000 students. There was like 100 teams. We thought it was going to be a much smaller event, but the students received dinner, then breakfast, and then lunch that was all paid for. Their hotel, which with a pool, it had air hockey. It was very nice, very luxury, top-notch, that they paid nothing. It was all provided by the state of Michigan. So now I'm going to give it over to you, to our students. So they have their whole little presentation. Here we go. So, Uday, come sit and click up your best spot. Oh, give that to the board so they can see it.
So we'd like to go with it.
We're careful, don't break it.
Yeah, don't break it.
Don't think I missed anything.
Right?
Now I know there's presentations, I'm gonna ask a question.
So starting the presentation, first of all, good evening everyone, board members, Superintendent Ms. Ahmed, and the guests. So we would like to extend our sincerest gratitude for your unwavering interest and invaluable opportunity to present our journey in the bridge building competition today. Your belief in our team's abilities has been instrumental in our pursuit of excellence. And we are immensely proud of the outstanding work we have accomplished. And it's an honor to share our achievements with you today. And thank you for your continued support and recognition of the efforts.
Thank you all for doing it.
So what is a Hamtramck building bridge competition? Hamtramck holds an annual bridge building competition for students to different grade level. In the 2022 to 2023 academic year, the Cosmos Builder team is by Ms. Lauren and Mr. Preston.
So here are the team members of the Cosmos Builders team. I'm Yulay Param.
I'm Nazma Begum. I'm Farhana Begum.
Picture is cool. So, invitation on January 11th. I was casually walking into Ms. Norton's room like every day. I learned about the program which had certain requirements, and I knew that it would be tough. And the requirements included submitting the following things by January 27th. So, first thing was forming a group of 3 students, and I was the only one at the time. And second thing, creating a bridge proposal with CAD designs. And at the end, we saw that the bridge proposal was almost 22 pages.
Wow.
Yeah, and constructing and testing 4 to 5 bridges, which would require a total of 40 plus hours. And it definitely did take more than that.
Yeah.
And other than this, I also had 5 finals on January 25. So that moment was really the best one. I enjoyed it a lot.
Ah.
Yeah.
He loves caffeine.
Struggles. There were a lot of struggles than this, and if we list that, it's gonna take a whole day. So that's the shorter version.
Okay.
Barrier 1, finding team members. Finding team members was tough for me because the low interest of students in STEM-related activities in our school was the biggest challenge, and it also required a strong time commitment. And that moment, it was not a easy decision for students to commit to that.
Not during finals.
Yeah. And barrier 2 was making CAD designs. None of our team members had the idea of how to make CAD designs, so it was tough. But for overcoming the barrier, we sought assistance from Mr. Klaus, and his help was great, and that's what helped us finishing our finals and everything and submitting the stuff by time. So thanks to him.
Thank you, Mr. Claus.
Thank you, Mr. Klaus.
Okay, journey 27 submission day. We worked hard for 16 days and made it past all the initial obstacles to submit all the required materials. Now we were waiting to hear back from the judge about whether we are qualified or not. Holding hands, we would love to express our sincere appreciation for the dedicating efforts of our esteemed teachers, Ms. Hearns and Mr. Preston. Their unwavering commitment has not only motivated us, but also ensured that we had access to essential materials throughout our journey.
So April 26th, sunny day.
After facing many challenges and overcoming various obstacles, we have finally made it to the state level. The hard work and dedication of our team and teachers had paid off, and we feel confident going into the competition.
Is that already passed or no?
qualified for state.
And you all played a role in it too. I put a call in to Jalila, and who immediately called you all at home. And you had to approve our trip, and we were like, because we didn't know, I thought I had to get permission to go out of state, but they're going overnight. So it was, thank you. I think you all said yes. She had a positive back to us in less than an hour. It was really nice, like a lot of stress, so
You
really.
made it to state, so way to go.
Thank you.
Yep.
April 27 competition day. We proudly competed against 100 teams and 300 students from across Michigan. Our first step was to test our bridge, which successfully held 51 pounds. Following that, we delivered a presentation that highlighted the structural integrity of our bridge.
Way to go, y'all.
So is this the competition? He thought it would only hold 20.
Oh, it's connected.
40. No, it's getting big, it's getting bigger. That's why you see the little dent.
Yeah.
When they rotate, that is actually pulling down.
It's called a deflection.
45 pounds out of the building.
Still going. They were blowing everyone out of the water at this point.
Show your report. I don't see this one moving this time.
We'll get to that.
It's good.
About 50 pounds. This one's running, guys. Pay attention. Oh, you're in the yard.
He's priceless. Overall, they placed fourth out of all the teams. Fourth.
Great job.
The fourth strongest bridge. And then they had a whole presentation component that they had to do, and they know they're gonna work hard on it, but they did really well, really well.
Congratulations, y'all.
Notable moments. In addition to excellent and breathtaking bridge competition, we had the incredible opportunity to meet with Governor and a dedicated professor from MSU who is actively advancing self-driving technology.
Ooh, fancy.
So, accomplishments. Our bridge impressively held a weight of 51 pounds, ranking among the highest weights achieved, which was actually fourth. Overall, our performance positioned us as one of the top teams, although we did not secure the first, second, or third rankings. But we are proud to be we are proud to be at the fourth among those 300 students and 300 banks and 100 teams.
Yes.
So, but for next year, we are expecting to be more stronger and to be placed in first, second, or third. And I'm pretty sure we'll be in first.
Leanne, Mr. Preston? We're gonna begin? Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Mrs. Horn?
Oh, thank you.
I'm holding this.
Doesn't compare to all the work that you've done.
The bridge. Mr. Preston?
Yeah. Good day. Great job. Lesma? Great job.
Thank you, so let's take pictures. You
Come
want
on,
to
the teachers.
Ms. Horn, Ms. Preston, can we get into the photo?
Yes, please.
You guys might want to sit down.
Yeah, y'all sit down. Thank you. We're proud of this little bridge. You got y'all's first place. Are you coming? Take this one. Everyone say bridge. Bridge. 1, 2, 3. Bridge. Bridge. The camera. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to the MDES Design and Building Bridge team. We're excited to see y'all probably go to first next year. Next up, we have Violeta Kuznar presenting the KMS All-Star Coalition. Violeta? Everyone enjoy your night. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep, take care.
Yes, she's making it.
I see.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening. That's us, okay. So, good evening, everybody. We are the Kościuszko Middle School All-Star Coalition. And I will have everybody introduce themselves. I am Violeta Kuzniar. I am the English language and mathematics teacher at Kościuszko.
Hi, I'm Mohammed Nassimi, and I'm in the 7th grade.
I'm Mir Naji, I'm in 8th grade. Hi, Mariam. I'm Sharif Hassan, and I'm 7th grade.
My name is Lara. I have graduated. I'm director of the Hamtramck Drug-Free Community Coalition.
And my name is Shannon Schaefer. I work with Laura as well with the Hamtramck Drug-Free Community Coalition.
And we are missing 2 students. They were not able to come. Tashia Chowdhury, 7th grade, and Tazbe Rahimi, 8th grade.
Thank you.
Yep.
You can grab the mic if you want.
Yes. The All-Star Coalition began 2 years ago at KMS. Our goal is to prevent substance use among our classmates and peers.
That's beautiful.
We discussed and worked on projects to prevent substance use. We also trained.
You're doing amazing.
We also trained in April, and it's okay. We also trained in April with other youth leaders around Michigan.
Awesome.
Our project was in the training to create 30 seconds public service announcement about how to prevent vaping in our school. We won the first place.
Next year, we will continue to focus on these goals with our All-Star Coalition at Kościuszko as well as the high school. Yes, so as Sharif mentioned, we won first place prize at a youth leadership retreat where we had to create a 30-second PSA video. That was all these students that created that video, and that first place prize we're actually very excited to announce was a trip to Texas. And this is to go to a conference with other youth across the country to continue to learn more about prevention, and we're just really excited to continue to expand and continue our efforts with prevention, and we want to thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Are you still fundraising? Yes, we were going to mention it later, but since Mrs. Ahmed mentioned, we do have a GoFundMe that we are still raising funds because, and we'll share that after because we are resolution number 8.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that later, and we'll share the GoFundMe page as well because everything is funded through the Prevention Network except meals, and that's what we are fundraising for, and maybe some pocket money for our kiddos.
Nice.
But we'll share more later.
Group photo and your awards, and then we'll get you on your way. Thank you.
No, that's okay. I appreciate you and your partnership. And
All right, everybody sit in our students.
Yeah, we can excuse this, yeah.
Students, would you like to sit down?
Here, should we buy you
All-Star Coalition shirt?
All right, drug free?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Drug free.
Cheers. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our KMS All-Star Coalition. Next up, we have the Optimist of Detroit Winner's Circle, which will be presented by Ms. Housie Johnson. So come on up.
Good evening, I'm Raheel Housie Johnson. I'm a teacher at Kosciuszko. It's my 23rd year in the district. If you haven't met me before, hello, to those of you. And I have two wonderful students with me here tonight representing our project that we do annually through the Optimists of Downtown Detroit. This is my 21st year doing it as a volunteer project. And every year in October, we release the international official topic, and I recruit students to create a rough draft on a topic. This year's topic was discovering the optimism within me. So basically what happens is we announce the topic and we see who's interested, and the students can do with it whatever they feel speaks to them personally. And they create a 4 to 5 minute original speech. Well, first it's an essay and then they have to deliver it. So it's a two-part thing. There's also an essay contest, but to me, I feel it's better opportunity for them to compose and present. It's like, yeah, two parts to it, much more. So anyways, this year, we had quite a few students interested, but in the end, we ended up with 4 students. We took downtown to the competition at the club level, and from that one, the first place person, which was Irma Balia, she attended another event which was for Southeastern Michigan, and she placed 3rd at that one, which was awesome. And unfortunately, that was the end for this year for our level. But I would like to say, though, last year she won 3rd place at the club level. This year she won 3rd place at the district, the zone level. Next year she's going to states, I'm sure of it. We have Ali Hassan, who was new with us this year, and he's in 7th grade, so we've got 2 students already signed up for October of this fall, so we're looking forward to that. And they wore their medallions, which were presented by the Optimists of Downtown Detroit to them. They were able to attend a winner's circle luncheon in May. They had a keynote speaker, they had lunch, we took a little excursion, took pictures down at the Riverwalk. It was the same day that ship ran aground on Belle Isle, so we had investigating, but they had set it free before we got there. So, anyways, we have a special treat for you. Instead of pictures, the best part, you'll get to hear the actual speeches.
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to start off. Discovering the optimism within me. What is optimism? Well, if you'd have asked me 3 years ago, I would have said I wouldn't know how to answer this question. The road to success and the road to failure are almost exactly the same, said Colin R. Davis. My dad used to tell me this quotation, but I never believed him. I always thought the road to success had to be perfect. However, I didn't feel optimistic about the topic 3 years ago, a time when every scenario in my head didn't have any color. Everything was black for me. Everything was a void of joy for me. Everything was a struggle for me. I would say that I was depressed without anybody even noticing. First of all, it's worth knowing that my mom was by my side the entire time. As a child, I grew up without my dad. He's the sweetest person I know. My parents were not divorced. They were just living 2 separate lives. My dad was in the United States and I was overseas with my mom and brother. I didn't really care that I didn't have a dad by my side because my mom was there for all of it. My journey of finding the optimism within me started back in 2018, which was the worst year of my life. My parents have been living this type of lifestyle since 1997. They tried applying for a family visa 3 times, but they were all contingent. So they decided to admit defeat. My parents lost all the hope they had and faced the reality. My dad worked 7 days a week so he could afford his lifestyle here, and that of my mom, brothers, and me overseas. My mom didn't work. She was always at home with me and my brother, making sure we're safe and being the best version of ourselves at school. We continued living like that until 2016, when my parents started noticing that it was difficult for me and my brother to continue living without my father. Accordingly, my family decided to reapply for a visa. Ultimately, our application was accepted, but unfortunately, it took us 2 years to get an appointment with the Embassy of the United States of America. Our appointment was October 18, 2018, which is a day I will never forget. I knew something was going to happen. The moment I woke up that day, I felt like it was going to be inaccessible. but I still kept a smile on my face because you never know what kind of magic can happen. Well, I can say I got what I expected. My magic did not happen. My brothers and my application were denied, but for my mom it was accepted. At that moment, I didn't know how to feel. Every emotion was gone. Even though every emotion was gone, I knew I felt most miserable and disappointed because my mom was going to have to leave me the way I did. Even though it's not her choice to go without children, since she was accepted, she had no choice but to go abroad without us. Yet it affected me deeply to the point that I had missed a week of school because I felt such a despair. On April 23rd, 2019 was the day my mom had left for the United States. Ever since then, I felt like a pessimist. The reason I felt like a pessimist was because I was feeling a sense of abandonment. The pessimist sees difficulty at every opportunity, and optimism sees opportunity in every difficulty, says Sir Winston Churchill. The reason why the school had related to me when I first heard it, it was to look at a situation as opportunity rather than a difficulty. My mom had left, I had to live with my grandma, who can barely walk, and my grandpa, who was at that time diagnosed with cancer. I felt a lot of pressure that I must take care of them while I was taking care of myself, which was too much to handle. I was only 10 years old, but it was not hard for me to help my grandma because she was already like another mother figure to me. On the first day I came back to school, I saw all the girls run up to their mom and give them a tight hug. The girls had shown their mom what they did that day. Seeing this made me miss my mom even more, and that I was unable to do this. I wanted to be optimistic that I was unable to, that we would be together in the USA, so I tried to study English. I failed the class, but I didn't give up. I used to walk home crying every day while making sure nobody had seen me. It was hard, but I had to continue living like that because I didn't have any other option. My parents had realized that my brother and I couldn't stay alone with my grandparents anymore because they were getting evicted at the time. Meanwhile, it was getting harder for all of us. My parents decided to reapply for a visa for my brother and I. They started working on our case right away because it was urgent. On August 26, 2019, my mom came back from the United States. I couldn't explain the first emotions. At that moment, I forgot how to cry. I just hugged her so tight and wished she would never leave me again. When she first came back, everything was new for her. My brother and I had blossomed into adolescence, and my grandparents had aged significantly. After a year of being returned with my mom, we finally got our appointment with the Embassy of the United States of America. It was August 4th, 2020. I finally had an optimistic feeling. I knew that I was going to see my dad in a couple of months. After 11 years, my magic that I never gave up on finally happened. It felt like a dream. I couldn't believe it, but it was really happening. After 2 weeks of preparing, our date to depart arrived. We were already packed and ready. The first time seeing my dad after 5 years was unbelievable. At that moment, I realized the tears, the fake smile, trying to stay optimistic on my heart is everything was worth it. I didn't know any English, but that wouldn't be a problem because I'm a fast learner. I came to the United States knowing how to give myself permission to hope and believe in optimism because I discovered the optimism with myself.
That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing. All right, next up.
Discovering the optimism within me. People can discover optimism. People can have optimism anywhere, anytime. Whether it's a situation to us every day or a situation that happens in a century. It's always there. But it's the hope that people have they can get something done the situation has to give it. And being an optimistic person can help you reach your goals, even if it's impossible. What does optimism mean for me? Optimism means hope when the impossible looms its face on you, but you still have hope. You're going to take that impossible obstacle up, even if you suspect you can't take it on. It's when you have hope inside of you. I had optimism in person at a fall festival in my community. There was this fun event where you go rock climbing and try to hit the button on the top. I saw different people try. Some got to the top. There was no way, so I went for it. I thought I should try because I had optimism inside me. I kept climbing and then I ran into a problem. I didn't have a grip. I couldn't reach without tangling the safety line with someone else's. I almost got halfway after a grueling 5 minutes. Even though it was hard climbing, I was confident that I could reach the halfway point. I was attached by wrap poles, so I wasn't hurt when I landed on the ground. I had something strong, which was optimism. This was fun. I was motivated to take another chance. I finally got it. By now, many kids were coming. The line was so much longer. I waited 3 hours. I spent my time deep in my thoughts. I cushioned my chest away, but I was determined to complete my goal. When I was next, I was glad all the waiting had paid off. I reached halfway, and I fell.
I had to go and wait at the end of the line, but I knew that would take too long. The event would soon be ending, so I had to reevaluate with a blast of realism. I decided to stop and try a different station. The outcome was that even though I didn't succeed at the first station, I was proud of myself for trying my best. I realized this was very fun. I felt the warm glow of optimism during the wait for the second try. I did lose sight of the goal, which was to have fun, not be perfect. Optimism increases your sense of fulfillment and satisfaction. Knowing that you optimistically try something increases, this means that optimism can help you both succeed and find satisfaction. I had an unexpected burst of optimism one day while I was playing tag with some friends. We were having fun and started to race on our bikes. I was in a race thinking I could win for once. It was a one-lap race, and I was ready, full of optimism, with determination. I got off to a fast start, and it was off. I was closer to winning. When it was almost over, I could see all my friends waiting. I was neck and neck with someone almost there with optimism. He started to move forward, but I was optimistic. Even though I didn't win, I was full of optimism and refreshed. In summary, optimism propels one to success. He or she sees opportunities in different aspects of life and expect positive results. Meaning if you're optimistic, you can see positive results. People can become optimistic by giving something, not asking anything in exchange, can make that person's day. And because that can be very big for that person, but might be small for you. People who can become optimistic by, optimism means a hope that can happen anywhere, anytime. It can be strong enough to overcome the hard goal no matter what, even if it's impossible and no one believes in you. In conclusion, there are opportunities to develop and demonstrate our optimism, both online and in real life. Optimism is a refreshing relief of a good feeling after you accomplish something. That good feeling always makes you feel better. Everyone has at least felt optimism flow into their feelings and felt hope in them. This hope allows people to reach their goals and dreams because they make it one small step at a time. Sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but you could have actually been planted. Something bad could be good in an unexpected way.
Johnson is going to do awards and pictures.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Call you back, sorry.
You're
going to do wonderful work.
Thank you.
Go, Hannah. Okay, yes, sir. So you want to stand? Okay, optimism. You ready? All right. Optimism. 2, 3. Optimism. Okay. Right. Rosie Johnson and to our 2 students, and our last student presentation will be Horizon TV production class with Aaron Guy. Come on up.
No students.
That's okay, we'll still take the picture.
All right. Good evening, and thanks. It's a pleasure to be here. And my name's Aaron Gay. I'm a teacher at Horizon High School. I teach TV productions class. Is one of the classes I teach there. And this year has been a great year of success, I think, and growth for this class. We've had many accomplishments. Just to list a few, we began like a school television program. A group of students were invited to lead a workshop at something called the STEM Makers Summit, teaching teachers how to use green screens and different things like that. And also, aside from learning TV production skills, participating in this film festival. So what we're going to share with you today, we had 2 short film projects that won awards of excellence in what's called the DAFT. It's a Michigan Student Film Festival. It's been going on for about 54 years, I believe, and they won awards of excellence. So that's what we're sharing today, and so I think we're going to watch them. Oh, and one other thing, I just today too. This is worth noting too. A student I found out this morning won a scholarship to participate in a journalism camp at Michigan State over the summer. So that's very cool too. So I'm very excited to announce that. And she's been heavily involved in all of this stuff all year, so it's very cool to hear about that. So yeah. I don't know, yep, this is the first one. There's two and they're very short, so.
Yeah. I am a menace. Keep me a ratchet like tennis. He hate trying to blemish my image. Who want the smoke? 2 to 3 count with the scope. And still they clip long as a rope. We wipe his nose. Tell like he had him a cold. I knew the bolo with the gang. You know that we buying it. What is your shit? What is you claiming? I am a beast. You cannot time it. Don't point a finger. These ooh, we got money. I'm running this wallet. You say you a killer. These you didn't stop it. In the shootout, your gun was dropping. You really a
What the heck was that? You had a chance. Oh my God.
All right, students, we have a new student today. Please be kind to him. Give him a warm welcome. There's a seat right over there. I can't believe they dropped the car from the parachute. How you doing? Great, let's go.
Rise and roar, people. I'm sorry. Epic days, don't just feed them.
Just, you guys ready for this? Oh, you got it? Go for it.
Oh, it was your fault. It was with the Nice one, Kobe! You and LeBron James, detention! What of eventually? Are you sure this is it? Ladies first.
Do you know what the detention center is? Yes. Thank you. Hey, what's going on? I don't know there. I don't know. Hey. What's wrong with you guys?
This idiot locked us in the basement.
We're locked in a basement? Help! Help! Oh my gosh.
Come on, Mr. Defense, what you gonna do? Sophia, happy birthday!
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sophia. Happy birthday to you. And many more. Make a wish. Isn't like how much hard work went into these is pretty incredible. Like sweating, headaches, and it's just pretty cool.
Would you mind, and can you, for the public, we want to recognize them, I know they're not here, but just letting everyone know, and hopefully they're watching, if you could just announce their names.
Oh, right now?
Please.
All right. Laith Khaled. Abdullah Kayali. Jermaine Jones. Shania Jackson. Esma Azakari. Ikasam Azakari. Jasmine Neighbors. Kareem Powell. Edward Robinson. Dayshell Stevens. Sergio Valentine. Alante Wright. Rayana Young. Murshida Zaman. Famida Begum. I tease where it's on. Only if Nemo's in it too. This is your shirt.
I'll hold some of the certificates.
Oh, sure.
Everyone say spooky. 3, 2, 1. Cheese.
1, 2, 3.
Cheese.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Resolution number 2, approval consent. Do I have a motion? Head 1, do I have a second? Heard Hall first. Motion by Head 1, seconded by Hall. Resolved upon recommendation super, the Board of Ed approves items under consent. Some minutes, employments, resignations, and retirements. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried, 6 ayes, 1 absent. Audience participation. This portion of the agenda is for citizens to address agenda items only to the board. The board will listen, take comments, and questions under advisement. At this time, the presiding officer will refer questions to the super for research and response. Person wishing to address the board of ed must complete an acquisition form submitted to the board president and force to fill out. All right, so first up, we have Tony Coral for resolution number 3. Come on up. Ready?
My name is Toni Coral. I'm president of the Hamtramck Federation of Teachers. The 1984 author George Orwell once wrote, "Political chaos is connected with the decay of language." I wonder what he would have thought of the language found in Resolution 3 on tonight's agenda. Resolution 3 is the polar opposite of clear and kind. It is unclear and disrespectful. The legal gibberish of the resolution is patently undemocratic in that it prevents understanding, which is a barrier to ordinary people engaging with public information and institutions. An engaged populace is the bedrock of a democracy. If members of the board wish to give their superintendent a pay raise after only 3 full months back on the job, why not say so in plain language? Why not publicize the new rate of pay on the agenda as is often done for other positions? Just how large is the raise? As for the chaos Orwell mentioned, the district is in a steady state of instability. No curriculum department, letters of resignation that wave red flags all over the place, the resignation of the district CFO, several lawsuits, an apparent cover-up of investigation results related to alleged sexual harassment, a recent survey by all 3 unions working cooperatively that reveal alarmingly low staff morale, and I can share those results if you're interested at some point. No discussion, at least with HFT, of plans to retain and recruit students. No discussion, again, at least with HFT, about how to promote the millage renewal. Ask me anything, and if I know the answer, I will answer in clear, straightforward language. You might not like my answer, but I will provide you with a response. I will share any emails or supporting documentation if necessary. It's time for you to find out how things are really going. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is Anthony Kiner about Sherry Lyman's resignation. Anthony, come on up.
Okay, I just wanted to take this time. Sherry was such an important part of this district for such a long time. I just wanted to make sure as the administration union, as a part of HA, that we really respect that all the things she's done for us, getting us from where we were in a bankruptcy state to where we have a very big fund balance. That's a lot on Sherry Lanham's back. And I just wanted to take this time of her resignation to understand that this is huge shoes to fill. We have big steps to come here in the next couple months. I know the 3 unions really want to be a part of that process, that interview process, but I really wanted to take this time to just say thank you to Sherry for all the things she's done. I can't even imagine the stress she had over the years. I know I'm really honored to be one of her colleagues and work with her. She taught me a lot last year about budgeting, about doing all that stuff. So on behalf of HA, and I know all the other unions and all the other people behind me, we really thank you, Sherry, and you'll be missed. And I hope the next part of your journey is awesome. So thank you, Sherry.
Next up is Michelle Cook, and she wants to discuss her retirement. So Michelle, come on up.
Thank you. Is this on? Okay. Oh, okay, sure. So on the occasion of my retirement, I have a request. I hope that you will not fill my position. I hope that the district will instead discontinue the VLI for kindergarten through 3rd grade. Our students deserve better. This is not an education for them. Most of my students put in minutes, maybe seconds, a day on their studies. They click, 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 click through the lessons and guess on the answers, the multiple choice questions, and then ask me for a retry, and I send it back. And we go through this process again. Most times if they have an assignment that is not multiple choice, they simply guess by the title of the assignment what the assignment may be. So for when we had a citizenship portfolio item, many students simply sent me the definition of citizenship. It was clear that they had not looked at any of the lessons coming up to that lesson and had no idea what it was they were supposed to turn in. There are students that I only see on the test days, on iReady test day, on step day. I have almost all of my students were qualified for EL, but none of them received service this year. I have students that had IRIPs because their reading scores were not up to par, and they did not participate in the guided reading small groups that I offered that were part of their IRIPs. I do not know how these third grade students are going to get passed to fourth grade because I am relatively sure that they failed the M-STEP. And since that law has been repealed but not instantly instated, they are still subject to that law without being able to say that they had EL services or they had a proper IRIP. How will we give them any sort of waiver to allow them to go to the next class, if indeed that would even be what is best for them? Most of my students are in private schools where they spend the majority of their day, and that is where our paras are as well. This is inequitable because I have students that are at home and they do not receive the same access to these supports. There are serious issues with the VLI. It is not serving our students. Many of my students had failing grades, but it is not truly them who has failed. It is us who has failed them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Glover to discuss air conditioning.
Yes, I have been a parent for the Hamtramck School District for quite some time now. I've had 3 kids graduate from the schools. My issue is right now is that y'all don't have central air in the schools. Why do they have to stay at home for 2 days? I feel like within the budget, you guys need to implement air conditioning so they won't be hot, so they won't miss school for those 2 days. And I have another issue. The senior penning, the whole senior situation, that was horrible. That was the most embarrassing. That was embarrassing to me. Because if this school district is one of the school districts, I want to say that got good, hopefully we have it. How come our school senior penning was within the high school? The auditorium needs to be upgraded. There's no seats. You have folding chairs in there. That was embarrassing. For first-time parents to come to the high school and see that, they was looking at me, looking at us like, is this what are they doing with the money? You know what I'm saying? So my issue is we need air conditioning, the schools need to be upgraded, and y'all losing really good teachers, and y'all losing really good administrators. And I came here on behalf of them. They have asked me to come and speak. They said the only way they're gonna get some type of results is if parents come up here and start speaking. And as long as my children are in Hamtramck School District, I'm gonna make sure I come up here and I'm gonna speak on behalf of the parents. I'm sorry, but my allergies acting up. But at the same time, I think we need to come together if we are one diverse community, and we need to make a really big change in these schools. We really do, because we have so many opportunities for these kids, but they're not comfortable. It's not comfortable. They're just not comfortable in the schools. And the parents are not, they're not speaking it, but I'm gonna speak on behalf of my children and the other parents that's not coming up here to show up. So that's all I have to say today.
Going to our agenda, Selena Chaudhry for SPED Paras. Selena?
Good evening. Selena Chaudhary, Special Education Paraprofessional at SA. You know, it is a challenging job. I have explained this in detail in the last meeting. I am saying it again. for the information of all present in today's meeting. You know, we have to do all kinds of work. We have to fulfill the responsibility of a mother, but we do this as a natural duty in core of our heart. But we have some kids who are too much severe in the bed, hate and spit us. For your information, I have been working for about 10 months. In between, I had to visit the doctor office several times. From that point of view, this work is also life-threatening, but we do this work of our love. So this suffering doesn't feel like suffering. Since the work is life-threatening, so we think we should increase the value of our work. We want, again, I'm saying, we want our salary annualized. Again, please fix our annual salary. Because when we believe, when we have security in our lives, we can focus more on our work. Also, our job 10 months. Remaining 2 months, we don't have work. How can we take care of our family? We don't even get unemployment. And it is not possible to get work for 2 months. We have expenses for our family. We don't earn enough money, which I can run the family for these 2 months. So, considering all aspects, we will be grateful if you make our salary annual. I humbly request, please kindly look at us. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Next up, we're going to go into our action items. Resolution number 3, approval of contract. I have a motion. I heard head one. Do I have a second? I hold motion by head one, seconded by Hall. The board hereby resolves to approve the new superintendent. Oh my God. Motion by head one, seconded by Hall. Resolves that the Board of Education hereby resolves to approve the new superintendent contract as presented, but contingent upon execution of the contract as presented by the superintendent, and hereby delegates its authority to its president to execute the contract as presented on behalf of the board, but only after the contract as presented has been executed by the super. This resolution will expire and be of no force or effect if the contract as presented has not been executed by the super by the opening of the board's next regular meeting. Do we have discussion? It was a lot of legalese, but it did come straight from legal, so. We'll just go down to the thing. Roll call vote. How do you vote? Ferris? Sorry. Aye. Obey?
Aye.
Gehe?
Aye.
Hadwan?
Aye.
Hall?
Aye.
Ayash, aye. Resolution passes 5 ayes, 1 nay. Would you like to leave a comment, Mr. Obey? All right, thank you. Resolution number 4, approval of employment. Do I have a motion? I heard head one. Do I have a second? I heard motion by head one, seconded by Ferris. Resolved that the Board of Ed does hereby approve the employment of Brennan Decro, a computer tech for the Technology Department, Step 3 of the ASME contract, effective June 26, 2023. I do want to clarify to the board, in the consent, we did have hires of people, and then we also have specific action items for hires. These positions are new, so they were not in the consent. People that were hired were replacing existing positions. When a position is new and is needed, it ends up on the agenda for approval of employment. Mark is here to answer questions. Is he here actually? Mark? Yeah, okay, perfect. Yep. So Mark is here to answer questions. I do want to have discussion around this process personally. I just want to bring it up now. It's a perfect time. I don't think we should wait until we get a name for hire to approve a new position. I think new positions should be approved first before posting. Then when it's posted and hired, it's just a consent item. How does everyone feel about that?
So right now, the way it is we approve any admin level postings before they're posted. I think I agree with you. I feel like any position that has a significant pay or we should review it at least.
Not even significant pay for me. If it's new, like if we've never had it at the district, or like older example, for example, we haven't filled it for years. Right. I think before we even put out the posting, we should discuss if we are willing to vote on it, because we don't wanna embarrass someone who's applied for the job and turns out they couldn't get it, not because we didn't like the human, but because the board had different understandings of the role. So, not calling Mark out specifically on this, but moving forward, Ms. Ahmed, I think the board would appreciate if it's a new position.
So would it be sufficient for me to share that information with you via email or in the board group and then get a response from you? So in that manner?
I would say, depending on the time, if it's enough time for us to review and get an understanding during the board report, that would be best, but if it's like cutting it close, then email.
Mr. Obey?
Yeah, I have an opinion. If it's new, you need to put it in discussion among
Publicly.
with the board and understand what needs to open this position.
Yeah.
You know.
So like in a study session, open it up with everyone.
And the
so we can discuss
justifications
it.
for why we.
Before the board, so before it even goes out to post, the board gets to decide on if we're approving that posting versus approving a human. Do you see what we're saying?
Yes, I understand.
Okay, because that would clear any confusion.
And this is for newly created positions?
Newly
Like
created,
this
or
position?
I'm gonna also put the caveat, reviving from the ashes, old positions. Do you see what I'm saying? Because certain positions we haven't had for years, so if it's coming back, I'd like to know why. Again, not calling you out Mark, but if anyone wants Mark's justification,
I would like to know what's the
come on up, Mark.
justification.
Speak loud, whatever's easier.
We have increased workloads in the department in fixing aging devices and require more support for the staff and students and families. Our workload's increased like exponentially since 2020, as everybody knows, so I need
And as we
additional
move
help.
more digitally, our assessments are now online. Everything is pretty much moving online. We just need more hands on deck.
Well,
Yes, also I've actually taken over all the network engineering from our ISD. So a lot of the overflow that I used to take care of from that perspective for the techs is now in the ISD work that they used to do.
Like working with Wayne Risa? Are you talking about like working?
Yeah, I took over like all the network related engineering and management.
Was that something that you felt was needed, or was it just personal?
I felt it was justified that it was expensive. I felt like we weren't getting our money's worth.
Okay.
So we did save quite a bit of money by.
All right, roll call vote, how do you vote, Ferris? Obey?
Aye.
Geheim?
Aye.
Hall? Hedwon? And Ayash, aye. Resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 absent. Resolution number 5, approval of employment. Do I have a motion? Hedwon, do I have a second?
Second.
I heard Geheim, motion by Hedwon, seconded by Geheim. Resolved that the Board of Ed does hereby approve the employment of Adnan Sadek for general maintenance of building and grounds, step 1 of the ASME contract, effective June 19, 2023. Rich, are you here for your justification? Come on up. Hi, Rich.
Hi, everybody.
How you doing?
We just need the help. We have the increased workload. Would devote a little bit more time to the buildings by having the extra person. And what I'm gonna do is create a even later afternoon shift for better coverage.
Can you keep that in mind for the snow season? I know last snow season, a student actually injured themselves because we couldn't salt the roads early enough. I know,
Well-
yeah, so if that's gonna resolve that, then I'm on board.
Yep, it'll cover us through pretty much through the night. The next crew will come in at 5, couple hour difference. It'll make a big difference.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other questions? All right, roll call vote. Ferris, I was combining letters. Aye. Obey? Hedwon? Hall? Geheim?
Aye.
And Ayash, aye. Resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 absent. Thank you. Resolution number 6, approval of the GSRP position. Do I have a motion? I have Hedwon. Do I have a second? I heard Hall first. Motion by Hedwon, seconded by Hall. Resolved that the Board of Ed does hereby approve 2 summer preschool enrollment associates, 1 average, 1 Bangla, $20 per hour, 7 hours a day,
total of 20 days for the Great Start Readiness Program at Early Childhood and Elementary. Do we have any discussion?
For just 2 people to do enrollment for the kids?
Yeah, is it enrollment or?
Yes, it's intake, so basically, with the enrollment package at the preschool level, it's very intense. So usually parents would fill it out, but it's not accurate information. And looking at equity, we are ensuring that we have a Bangla and Arabic speaking parapro that would complete the paperwork to ensure accuracy and that they receive the, equitable treatment to share the information that's necessary. That information would help us understand what are the needs and tend to those needs immediately. Also for classification purposes, do they qualify or not? So we have about 54 students. We're looking at, I believe, 2 weeks to provide the services.
I have a question.
Yep.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, so this will help with, I know a lot of kids, they have to take the WIDA, but they're great in English, but when their parents sign them up, they put that English isn't their first language when actually they're speaking English a lot. So I'm assuming this is gonna help with the process, so they'll end up doing WIDA.
So what you're talking about is the home language survey, and that's usually part of our intake in our pupil service department. It will capture it in this enrollment as well, but that, you're right. Sometimes, we usually, unless the parents require language assistance, we usually enforce the understanding that parents know when they are completing that portion, they are to make sure that they do it as accurate as possible. So basically, anyone at the home that speaks any language other than English would qualify would be eligible to be an English learner. But we go through the screening process. After the screening process, if the student passes the WIDA screener, they no longer are a part of the program for our ELs. So I don't know if I answered your question, but in all enrollment processes, that's something we try to capture. And having someone walk the parents through this process, if they have a language barrier, gives us a little bit more reassurance that they're understanding what's being done, what's in the intake process.
May I add something? One of the other reasons is, we've had a very large population of students with ASD and other things. This helps with the screening process because parents, we find out later and we don't know, and then all this time the child's been sitting in the class and we weren't helping them like we should. So that's one of the things they'll say, oh yes, but I wanted my child test or my child has this. We did not know that based on the information that was filled out because we really want it to be accurate. And that helps the parents too, because they don't know this, they don't know what we're asking them a lot of times on the form, and there's misinformation. And a child might qualify for the program, but because the parents didn't know what information to put down or wasn't accurate, then they're not eligible for the program. We anticipate, usually we have about 100 children apply for the preschool program. That's why we said we need additional days to make sure that we meet the needs of the families. Of course, only 48 are eligible, that's all we can take into the program. But we want to make sure that we're fair to everybody, which is really important. And that's why another suggestion was like our enrollment forms here for kids to sign up and parents to sign them up. They're only in one language, which is English. So our K-1-2, that impacts them too. I recommend that we have a Bangla and an Arabic enrollment form because that would help too. I'm just bringing up something separate. I just want parents to have an opportunity to have their voice heard and not try to guess what we're asking.
Okay, my question is while it's great we have Arabic and Bangla translators, do we have any kind of contingency plan we have a new growth for Afghan families that are coming, Polish, Bosnian, Ukrainian.
Yes.
Do we have?
We have identified staff in the district that
Okay.
we can, talk to.
Oh, you already answered it? All right, any other discussion? All right.
Harris? Gahane?
Aye.
Obey? Hedwan? Hall? Ayash, aye. Resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 absent. Resolution number 7, approval of the MHSAA membership. Do I have a motion? I have Hedwan. Do I have a second? Hall, motion by Hedwan, seconded by Hall. Result of the Hamtramck Board of Ed does hereby adopt the Michigan High School Athletic Association membership resolution as outlined for the year from August 1st, 23 to July 31st, 24. This is our membership to play in sports at the high school. Do we have any discussion? All right, roll call. Obaid. Hedwin. Geheim. Hall. And Ayash, aye. Resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 absent. Resolution number 8. Resolution number 8, approval of student field trip. I heard a motion by Hedwin. Do I have a second? Hall. Result of the Hamtramck Board of Ed does hereby approve the request for Violetta Kuzner and Teresa Goodrich to take 5 students to the CATCA event in Grapevine, Texas from July 16th to the 20th. Expenses will be covered by Prevention Network and fundraising efforts. Goodrich and Kuzner, you guys want to come up and talk about your GoFundMe?
Again. Hi. I can invite Laura and Shannon too. Come on up. Thank you.
It's there.
Okay, sure.
All right, hi. Hi. So we heard a little bit about it during the student presentation, but if we can get more details on the fundraising efforts, that'd be awesome.
Yes, so we went to the first annual Michigan Youth Leadership Retreat Training in April up in Fenton at Camp Hamtramck. And the students, as they mentioned before, they created a 30-second public service announcement on preventing vaping among your classmates and friends and wherever they can. And they won first place. So they won first place to go to Grapevine, Texas for a mid-year CATCA retreat, and it is a 4-day retreat, and all 5 of them they won. And what happened was they have a full expense paid trip by the Prevention Network. And the only thing that we are fundraising for is the meals and any incidentals, anything extra that they may want to do or anything else. So everything is paid for, hotel, airfare, everything is paid for the students. There are other grants that are being paid for the 3 adults I'm not going, I can't, I wish I was. But Shannon, Laura, and Mrs. Goodrich, Teresa are going to go they will be the teachers, the adults, and in charge of the 3 students, not 5, because the 2 students are not, they're not allowed to go. So our 3 students.
Healthy babies.
Thank you so much. I would go unless, birthplace would be Dallas, but, I like Detroit.
No, that's awesome. I know, Mr. O'Bade, if you were interested in giving some of your funds for efforts like this, I think this might be a cool thing if you're interested. Awesome. Can you share the GoFundMe link, Ms. Ahmed? She'll put in our board report.
Yes, definitely. I will share it later tonight. I will, definitely. Yes, I will.
That's awesome. Well, thank you all so much. Do you have any questions for them? Did a wonderful presentation earlier.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. And then, so roll call vote. How do you vote, Ferris? Geheim?
Aye.
Obey? Hedwin? Hall? Aye. And Ayash, aye. Resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 absent. Resolution number 9. Motion, approval of advising contract. Motion by Hedwin. Do I have a second? Motion by Hedwin, seconded by Ferris. Resolve the Board of Ed does hereby approve the advertising contract with their review for the 23-24 school year. Total amount not to exceed $76,995. Do we have any discussion?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just like past couple of years, I personally feel like we can use those funds to maybe restart journalism class, TV production at the high school.
Well, Mr. Guy's group is
Well, I mean, maybe he can collaborate with the Hamtramck High School and make it a more, elaborate.
Middle school.
Yeah, middle schools. I mean, I feel like we can, start our, students with a journalism path, and that's just my thoughts on it.
My thoughts haven't changed in the last 5 years. Anyone else?
I believe we can utilize them, more by maybe advertising for recruiting, for hiring process for teachers and stuff like that, advertising.
Good idea. All right, anyone else?
Roll call. How do you vote, Ferris? Nay. Obey?
Aye.
Geheim?
Aye.
Hedwin? Ayash? Okay, Ayash, nay. Hall?
Nay.
Resolution fails, 4 nays, 2 ayes. Does any of the nay want to leave a comment?
Mine the same as the last 2 years.
Can we put these funds towards funding our students doing their own journalism efforts?
The funds that we
Allocated anyway. All right, resolution number 10, approval of, oh my gosh, words, y'all give me a minute. Okay. Resolution number 10, approval of advertising contract. Do I have a motion? Headline, do I have a second?
Second.
Again, resolved that the Board of Ed does hereby approve the advertising contract with the Yemeni American News for 23-24 school year, total amount not to exceed $72,000. Do we have a discussion? Same, nothing's changed for me. How do you vote, Ferris? Obaid?
Aye.
Geheim?
Aye.
Hedwin? Hall?
Nay.
And I, Ash, nay. Resolution fails. 4 nays, 2 ayes. Same comments. I think this is a lot of funding now that hopefully we can use directly towards funding our students advertising themselves. I think people are best at selling themselves. That's just my opinion.
We'd like to see journalism.
If you want to connect with Ms. Goodrich, Ms. Zilich and Ms. Nalepa to see how they used to run it, I don't know if you can connect with them and see where they're at, but we used to have a program when we were kids, for sure.
We got the mileage coming up. We're gonna advertise it out.
You can still, here's the thing, sorry, let me
We can
clarify.
pay for
You can
advertisements.
pay for specific advertisements. What these were pre-loaded yearly contracts. So nothing is preventing us from buying advertisements as needed, but this is a lot of money to give upfront for services rendered that we've had a chance to review. I mean, I know that you're new and.
I mean, why are we bringing it into the board then?
Well, we still have to, it's a big purchase. It still has to come to the board for approval, but it's just not in it for the cards this year. So nothing is preventing us from advertising with them on specific projects, but it's just this yearly contract, so. All right, resolution number 11, approval of purchase. Do we have a motion? Headway, do I have a second? Ferris, motion by Headway, second by Ferris. Resolved that the Board of Ed does hereby approve the purchase of FortiGate security firewall installation from Delta. Total amount not to exceed $68,694.70. Purchase is funded through E-rate. Mark, come on up. We're gonna have a bunch of questions for you. So the next few purchases are technology purchases, and so if Mark can kind of walk us through some of his, we have the justifications, but it's still nice to hear from you.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
Who is our current firewall company, and what's the difference in the pay that we're going to be saving or losing?
This isn't a service, it's hardware.
So what are we using currently?
We have a FortiGate firewall.
And this one's gonna, what's the difference with that and this one?
There's no difference. They're the exact same unit.
And is it the same cost?
Prices changed a little bit after, like chip shortages and whatnot, because I got the first one, like, before the chip shortages happened, so this one's more expensive.
Okay. Is
Can
the
I
first
ask-
one not?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mark, are you replacing an existing, like, unit?
Nope, we're gonna be employing a technique called load balancing. Yeah. So we'll be able to provide better security faster.
Sorry, I don't think I got clarity on my question. So we have an existing, you said FortiGate firewall, and you're buying a second one to do the.
To run in tandem, yep.
So that you're not overloading the system?
Correct, so
Okay.
it's a more efficient network, and packet inspection on the network, because those devices look at everything.
Can you explain the E-rate, like what is that funding source?
E-rate's a federal funding source for networking. It basically covers everything that gets our students to the internet.
Oh, that's not bad. Any other questions? All right, roll call vote. Ferris? Geheim?
Aye.
Obey?
Aye.
Edwin? Paul? Aye, Ash, aye. Resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 absent. Resolution number 12, approval of purchase. Do I have a motion? Headline, I seconded by Ferris. Resolved that the Board of Ed does hereby approve the purchase of fiber maintenance and emergency services from Amcom. Total amount not to exceed $34,900. Same purchase is funded through E-rate. So is this in tandem with the last purchase, or is this different?
No, this is different. This is for the physical infrastructure that hangs on the telephone poles between all the buildings. We have fiber optic cabling that's strung between all the buildings to network everything together.
We've had a lot of phone issues this last year, actually.
Yeah.
That's fixed.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Do you know what happened, or like what was going on with that?
Well, which particular issue?
Well, anytime the central office didn't have phones down, we used to get emails that phones were
Well,
down.
we had service outage more than once, and, and we did switch over to a brand new technology, and we are now mating that technology to an old device.
Okay.
So you guys will have me in front of you for a phone system please.
Yay, okay, hopefully it works. So an update on that. Any other discussion? All right, Ferris? Obey? Hedwig? Ayash, Hall? Geheim?
Aye.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 absent. Resolution 12, approval of purchase. Can I have a motion?
13, you mean?
Did I say 12? Sorry. A motion, number 13, or, give me a minute. Resolution number 13, approval of purchase. Hedwig, do I have a second motion?
Second.
Geheim. Resolved that the Board of Ed does hereby approve the purchase of network infrastructure replacement and upgrade of aging network hardware from Intercom TSG. Total amount not to exceed $295,598.43, funded through ERA and the general fund. Okay. What's this one?
Yeah, explain.
So, there's network electronics that are spread throughout the district in the buildings, and something we refer to as IDF and MDFs. They're basically wiring closets. Our wiring closets, definitely, we employed a lot of creativity to make them, but you can open any number of janitor's closets or bathrooms, and you'll find stacks of these devices that provide connections to the classrooms and to the wireless access points, to the boilers.
Is this one
It
building?
connects everything.
How many?
No, those are intended to spread throughout the whole district.
Is this something that we don't have currently?
No, this is like, this is basically would be considered maintenance and upgrades. So like, as these things age,
Right.
we have to replace them. They kind of like burn out.
Right.
So, yeah.
So we already have it, we're just upgrading and maintenance.
Yeah, we're getting a newer version, plus we need new ones to replace the aging ones.
Right,
'Cause
but
they-
I'm asking is, are you doing replacements in all of our buildings, or are there specific buildings where these things?
I got as many as I could with the money I had,
Don't
so
tell
I'm
me
gonna
Holbrook
go
got
through,
left
yeah, I'm gonna go through and find the oldest ones and replace them, so, yeah.
Can we make sure Holbrook is looked at?
You're in my mind.
Oh, that's a power problem, not me.
Can you give Ms. Ahmed the updates on the buildings that they'll be working on?
That literally somebody accidentally turns off a switch once in a while there, that's why the Wi-Fi goes down.
Oh, okay. But coming back to this, can
Oh.
you give Ms. Ahmed the updates on which buildings will get which projects done, and then the timeline, please? Of when they-
Sure.
Yes, thank you.
Sure. Actually, I think I did provide that already in a weekly report.
The selection of the building, or you said you're still doing that?
Oh, no, not the selection of the building,
That's what I meant.
timelines on the,
that's
timelines
what I
on the
meant.
planning.
The building,
Yeah.
okay. All right, Geheim? Paul? Hedwig? Obey? Ferris? Jihan? My God, Ayash, aye, resolution passes. 6 ayes, 1 absent. Oh, okay. Resolution 14, approval of purchase. Do I have a motion? I have had one. Do I have a second?
Second.
Geheim, resolved that the Board of Ed does hereby approve the purchasing of 3-year Microsoft licensing EES agreements for CDWG, which is a Microsoft licensing for the district. Total cost not to exceed $32,734.62, funding through general funds. Now, Mark, for the next few purchases, these are all laptop or like office, like things you put on laptops for the kids. I know we said since 2020, we've obviously had an uptick in obviously purchasing laptops, but I feel like we've had an uptick just every time I've been on agenda. We're buying something new, either a new set of laptops or a new set of licensing.
That purchase was approved last meeting, but I had a vendor issue with the purchasing contract, so I resubmitted it, so you guys had the updated vendor information.
Okay, but.
Which was the old,
At the last meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 1,000 ECF Chromebooks, and we talked about it, I was,
Yeah, no, I remember, but
oh.
how much was the total cost? Do you remember off the top of your
It
head?
was like 395,000 and change, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
But I think my question still stands, are we buying products that are meant to last? I think that's kind of what my concern comes from.
Well, every device that we purchase, there's planned obsolescence built into it. So lasting would be completely based off of when we purchase that device, what devices are available at the time we need to make a purchase. A lot of things play into the decision. These current devices should be good until, I think it's either 2025 or 27. I'd be happy to send you an email,
Yes,
look it up, but
Yeah. Okay. Discussion?
How fast do they go out?
He's looking, these are built in obsolescence, like they're just gonna die. He's looking at 25 or 27, so like.
It's like the max is 7 on Chromebooks, but Chromebooks are very, very inexpensive, like per piece compared to like something
To
else.
be realistic, like, you know, with kids, they're not gonna take care of it as great as
I
adults.
know, I
you know,
just
so.
want us to get.
Are we getting
quality.
insurance on these?
So I did get insurance quotes on it, and I can submit that for you to review. I've had very negative feedback on that program. Also, based off, we deal with the community a considerable amount of time. I don't think our parents would like it. I don't think they would buy into it, to be completely honest with you. The business office and I've also met on it a couple times to talk about it. I'd be happy to offer it to the parents, but I don't think it's gonna make a large difference with the insurance, so. I would be more inclined to do like, which would be a little bit more expensive, but maybe like an accidental damage policy with the manufacturer.
Right, that's what I meant. Not
Yeah.
like the parents have to pay. Like,
Well, if you do like the insurance situation with the parents, like where they insure the device for like $25 for the year, you can get it replaced, repaired.
Oh.
Yeah,
Can
oh
it
yeah,
be
that
something-
exists,
can we-
but
Can it be something that it's refundable at the end of the year?
no.
That's not how it works.
No, that's not the way it works. No. We should be.
No, if Mark is saying that parents wouldn't appreciate an insurance policy, then.
Right. I just feel like that are, you know,
I get it.
but I'd be
As someone
happy to
who's going
offer
through
it.
what works, laptop insurance policy, I literally am not exaggerating. I've been without a laptop since December. They keep sending me loaners that keep breaking. Insurance will like squeeze.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
I said the accidental damage policies through the manufacturer are more expensive, but they're a lot more reliable.
Yeah, but it's still,
Yeah.
it's a headache. Any other discussion? Gahang? Oh, sorry. Vote yes or no?
Oh, aye.
Aye, thank you, sorry. Hall? Hedwin? Obey? Ferris? And aye, resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 absent. We are on resolution number 15. Again, approval of a purchase. Do I have a motion? Hedwin, do I have a second? Oh, Hall. Motion by Hedwin, seconded by Hall. Resolved that the Board of Ed does hereby approve the purchase of 1,000 Dell Chromebooks with licensing from CDWG for a total cost not to exceed $330,920, funded through the ECF USAC. Mark, can you explain that funding source?
ECF is what's
That's
that?
the one we approved last.
Yeah, I thought we just, this is the one, this was the vendor change. I think I didn't understand correctly on the last one for the Chromebooks. That's, I think, for Dickinson East, for their classrooms, because they want to put Chromebooks back into their classroom.
Got it, all right. Any discussion? All right, Gahang?
Aye.
Hall? Hedwin? Obey? Ferris? And aye, resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 absent. Resolution number 16, approval of purchase. Do I have a motion? Hedwin, do I have a second?
Second.
Gaham, resolved that the Board of Ed does hereby approve the purchase of STEAM technology, so the Sphero Bolt Power Packs for DE students from Sphero, total amount not to exceed $27,244.56. Purchase funded through Title I, so it is title funded, which means, what's Title I again? At-risk students, yep. Ms. Farine had to leave early, but does anyone have any questions about this project? I think Ms. Ahmad can answer. All right, Ferris? Obey? Gaham?
Aye.
Hedwin? Hall? And aye, resolution passes, 6 ayes, 1 absent. 17, resolution 17, approval of purchase motion. Hedwin, do I have a second?
Second.
I had Ferris first. Resolved that the Board of Ed does hereby approve the purchase of Reach Higher Student Teacher Workbooks from Cengage Learning, Inc. Total amount not to exceed $73,497.60, purchased through our Section 41 carryover and Section 41 funds. Who made this purchase, Ms. Ahmed?
In the interim ELD director.
Okay, Ms. Mariana, can you explain what this is? Thank you, Mark. Oh, it's only the director, yeah. If you don't have questions for her, we do have this information in our record. If we have any questions, I think we already read this, so thank you for printing it again. Roll call vote, Aldehan?
Aye.
Paul? Obey? Hedwin? Ferris? And aye, resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 absent. Resolution 18, approval of purchase, I have a motion. Hedwin, do I have a second?
Second.
Heard Gahem. Resolved that the Board of Ed does hereby approve the purchase of the additional image learning license, 240 of them from Image Learning, total not to exceed $28,800. Purchase funded through section 41. I believe this is still used. Yes. Okay, so we've already read it. So, don't have any questions? All right, Farrah? Wig? Hadwad? Hall? And Gahem?
Aye.
And I, resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 absent. Okay, resolution number 19, awarding of a bid. Thank you. I guess we didn't do anything. All right. Word of bid, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Heard Hadwad, do I have a second?
Second.
Gahem, resolve the Board of Ed does hereby approve the award, does hereby approve award, no, this is worded funny, hang on. Resolve that the Board of Ed does hereby approve the bid for HVAC upgrades Phase 3 in Holbrook Elementary School to Quality Air Systems, Inc., being the lowest bidder, meeting specifications, total not to exceed $2,889,000 with a contingency of $168,000. Do we have any discussion?
Finally.
Finally, but what's the funding source, Ms. Ahmed? Is it ESSER funds or is it general? It's ESSER, okay. So it is funded through ESSER. Do we have any other questions?
No, I just would like for, I've asked before, when you guys put bids out, to give us information on how many people bid it and how was the selection process done, just so we are more informed on how the bidding process goes.
I believe Rich is here, he can share that information with you tonight if you'd like.
All right, Rich, come on up. All right, for this project, how many bidders did you have?
We had 2 bidders.
2 bidders, and this
Yes.
one?
We had 2 bidders. Miller Bolt, which is already working.
Can
in
you
the
speak
school-
into your mic, Rich?
Oh, Miller Bolt, which is already working in the school system already, came in at $2,578,000. Quality Air came in at $2,089,000. Everybody's paperwork was good. Everything was fine. We did the bid interviews. Lowest bid this time, viable. That's why we want to okay it today.
Thank you.
This is gonna be done through the summer, right, along with other buildings, is my
Next
question?
summer.
Next summer, okay.
It starts next summer?
Mhm.
Is it ESSER 2 or ESSER 3?
I believe ESSER 2.
Can you bring it down, please? Thank you. All right, any other discussion?
So this year, we're doing ECE, Hamtramck High,
We're
and,
doing ECE is getting windows and AC.
right,
Alberta, Horizon, Community Center, admin, new rooftops. Holbrook, windows. Holbrook, kitchen.
and then the AC phase 2 for the high school and them is when, next summer planned, or?
Andy, can I bother you?
This summer is ECE windows and doors? For ECE.
Yeah.
Hello, Andy. So when can you give us a timeline on the AC projects for this year and next year? We wanna know when all buildings will have AC.
So, we're currently working on the designs.
The mic, Andy.
For the high school and Kosciuszko, the remaining schools. They'll be bid this summer, and then the work will be completed next summer.
But for this summer, what work is being completed?
So you've got the HVAC for rooftop buildings, which is Taubeda, Horizon, Community Center, admin building, and then we've got CE HVAC going in, and that's with
The windows?
the windows.
And that's this summer, correct?
That's this summer.
And so this bid for Holbrook, if we approve it tonight, they can start next summer.
Next summer.
And ideally, all summer projects will be done before the school year starts?
That is correct.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, we'll just try to make that a priority to get some bids out for the high school and the other schools, you know,
Sure.
so that we can get it approved earlier rather than later, so it can be accomplished hopefully by next summer. Okay?
That's the goal.
Go ahead. Can we get some power dual fans for now?
Right, can we get some kind of
Some fans.
fans or something for the?
I ordered an incredibly large amount of box fans.
Okay.
Box?
you know, the ones that go out the window?
No, that's like, are they window ACs
No, they're just the
or?
little square fans, Home Depot, Lowe's.
So musty air just through the building.
We don't have.
No.
What about the?
What happens to the cameras, DW window ACs?
Ms. Ahmed? I don't know if that's a Rich question or you question.
That's-
Andy, I think you're good for this.
No, there's been a request made at the high school, and a request made at Kosciuszko, and we just don't have the power available to add that type of equipment.
The window ACs with
Right.
electrical issue?
Correct.
All of your mechanical projects come with a very large electrical upgrade.
And then, while we're talking about building upgrades, I think since I got on the board, I've asked for some kind of way to fix the high school auditorium many years. And I don't know if you can remember how many times I've asked about this. I've walked in there, you guys had repainted it, that didn't even last 6 months.
Oh, me and Gahey went for the senior.
The benches, the seats are probably there from when the high school was built, to be honest. Could we see if we have some kind of way of budgeting an upgrade to the auditorium and the paint and the overall seating needs to be fixed?
We can provide you a general estimate for that, replacing the seating, basically redoing the finishes.
But how about that little AV room that's up top? Because
Yes.
I think it's small and disgusting.
Yeah, so that'll be included, right? That's your projection room for all of that.
Right.
And then the next part of that is, do you want to upgrade your lighting system for the stage?
Yes.
That is very, very old. Lighting system, the acoustic systems.
Andy, can we invite you to our August study session so we can talk about
Sure.
looking at that project, a future project?
Sure.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion specifically about this? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any discussion specifically about this bid for Holbrook Elementary? All right, Ferris? Obaid? Hedlund?
Aye.
Hall?
Aye.
Gahan?
Aye.
And aye, resolution passes. I know, resolution number 20, I'm excited about this one. Approval of AP courses for Hamtramck High students. Do I have a motion? Hedlund, do I have a second?
Second.
Gahan? Result of the Hamtramck Board of Ed does hereby approve the following AP courses for Ham High starting the 23-24 school year. We're going to be adding an AP African American Studies course taught by Ms. Bilot and an AP Government and Politics taught by Mr. Flores. Do we have any discussion?
I do.
Go ahead. No.
Well, it's great every time I see that we're adding more AP courses or honors program classes, or even, dual enrollment. I think that's great, and we're moving in the direction that I have hoped for. What I would like to see is getting an input from the students on what classes or courses they would be interested in, and having as AP courses moving forward. I feel like if we do a survey and we have, a high request for a certain AP class, it's better than just offering a class that we didn't get the input of the students. So I think I would like to see that be an option, is getting the teachers and students' inputs on available or possible AP classes specifically. Okay?
Martin, Abed, Kiner, come on up.
Yeah. So just right on that note, we already have received input from students with regards to the African American Studies class. TSI status is what the high school is in right now. TSI is the Michigan Department of Education, My School Data, Targeted Systems. We have been already actually penalized for not having an African American component by the state in 3 different areas.
Stand for?
I'm sorry?
What does TSI
I'm sorry, Targeted Support for Assistance.
Thank you.
So it's for improvement, actually. So what's happening is, for the African American Studies class, Ms. Bilot simply needs to be trained. And one of the things that, even when the parent was here just a minute ago, what she was speaking to is just ensuring that comfort levels are in place when it comes to recruiting students into the class. Ms. Human's classic example already recruited students into her AP class back in January of 2023. So it's an invitation to join advanced placement classes to say, hey, I noticed you did really well in AP Physics. I think you would continue to do well in that course. And it's an invitation to go to a student and say,
You did a great job in honors. I want you to advance to this class. And Mr. Halores, similarly, same thing. So there's probably about 50 students. Mr. Halores, you might even want to speak to that as far as the AP government class. It's the same thing. These students are recruited intentionally by the teacher for these classes. This is conversations going on face to face, elbow to elbow. It's not just a hypothetical, it's
No,
not
I'm-
arbitrary, it's flat out telling you.
I believe that you guys have reasons for adding each course, which is, I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, instead of recruiting and trying to, fill certain like classes that you guys want these students to enroll in, give them a survey, ask them what AP classes would you be interested in, because that way they don't feel obligated to have to take just the ones that you guys are already providing. Some students might be interested in a lot, biology, whatever. So I just feel like a survey or getting student input frequently would be beneficial to a successful AP course.
They're certainly screened too. There's what we call through the College Board, it's called AP Potential. So every July 5th, all of the students who took the advanced placement classes, we literally have a list of all of the students who even have potential to be in any AP course, just simply across the board. So when you take that data and use that data and then move forward, not only recruitment, but even they're just simply asking students. So,
Any other questions about the AP courses? Elgaham?
Aye.
Hall?
Aye.
Ferris? Obey? Hedwat? And I, resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 absent. Resolution 21, approval of the 23-24 calendar. Do I have a motion? Hedwat, do I have a second?
Second.
Gahame, motion by Hedwat, second by Gahame. Resolved, the Board of Ed does hereby approve the district calendar for the 23-24 school year as presented. We did get an email this morning on the process, and I would like to have Tony come up and explain what happened from her end. For clarity, the calendar did get sorted out, and the union is on board, but let's hear what happened between, you said it was February and now. So,
Come on up, there's no time limits.
Starting in January, Carla Timoko, who
Oh,
is
I'm so sorry, Tony, let me back up. So for the new board members, we approve our school year calendar right before the start of the school year. So in June, we would approve for 23-24. This is the calendar for the days off, half days, conferences, stuff like that. That's the context. So take it away.
Okay. So, starting in January, kindergarten teacher and actually calendar wizard, Carla Timoko, sat down with Mr. Stevens, the Pupil Services Director, to work out a calendar. And they came up with a very workable, serviceable calendar. And then Ms. Ahmed was brought back and he handed the calendar to her. And I was told in a March meeting that the second Eid was encroaching, was moving up to the end of the school year. And said, well, we need a tweak. Well, okay, it's a one-day tweak, right?
Yeah.
Well, then there was nothing, and then there was nothing. And Mrs. Ahmed, the superintendent, wanted us to have late start Wednesdays to do PLC time. PLC times are professional learning communities in which at building level, we would discuss, whatever the buildings need to discuss, right? And Mr. PLC.
For teachers, or is it all staff?
Teachers. Well, I'd probably the other staff are involved also too. Mr. Kiner explained to me that administrators very much wanted PLC time. Now, the calendar that had been worked up had half days, which equaled, which we wanted to be that building time, 17 and a half hours of building time.
Okay.
These early start or late start days would be 15 late start days throughout the school year for 15 hours.
Okay.
Only 1 hour at a time, and the kids are lining up outside.
Yeah.
Nobody likes this. It's too hectic at the very beginning of the day, and you really don't get anything done. You're thinking like, okay, do I have all my copies? Administrators are thinking, okay, I can hear the kids outside. It doesn't work. And we've said this for a few times now. Well, there's still a delay, We sat down with, Mr. Bowman wasn't there this past Monday, but Mr. Nichai was, and he said, here's a calendar. And we talked about, and there were the half days there, okay. There were, some PD days, and I knew what the calendar was, and we were like, okay, this looks good. Now, I don't know if it was, I don't know who requested it, but on Monday, we were asked, okay, so could we, because the half days don't happen every month.
Okay.
Worried about consistency. All right, and so they said, so it was asked of us, could we then have 4 times a year have PLC after school?
And clarity, us is the union.
Us, yeah, asking us the union, yes, I'm sorry about that. So we're like, what days are you thinking? 2 days were already staff meetings, so people are already after school, right? 2 other days were not. Matter of fact, it was a Wednesday at the beginning of October and like 2 weeks later, and then February, I'm sorry, November and then February.
Okay.
Or like those are two of those are staff meeting days, okay. Well, you know, you have 2 choices on the other 2 days. You can pay teachers to stay after school, right, beyond their time. Or you can give up 2 other staff meetings in the following month. So if we're having 2 after-school days in November, the December staff meeting goes away. We don't need it. We've already been there. People have daycare issues. People have after-school obligations. February, we said, well, then the March day goes away. I got an email that said, that's good, we can do that. Then, and I thought that was the calendar. So as I look at the board agenda, which I have access to ahead of time, I saw the calendar. I was like, well, okay. And I presumed it was the calendar that we had seen on Monday and that we had then agreed to.
Okay.
Well, that was not the case, as administrators said, hey, here's what we're seeing. So I didn't see what was finally presented to you all.
To the board, yeah.
Right. And maybe it was in my drive and I didn't look at it because I was good faith. That's what we've already talked about.
Yeah.
So somebody mentioned something to me and it was not at all what we talked about. It was not. And I don't know what it was and I don't know how we got there. But I was not pleased. That's not the way I want to wake up on a Tuesday morning. I had other issues to handle.
Okay.
But this is where I was. So this is how you all got an email. I was pretty warm.
I mean, it is
what it is. So it is
detailed,
what it
so
is,
it's
right.
fine.
So it's done. So
No.
now we have the
Yeah.
right calendar, I believe.
We do, and so I just wanted to hear your perspective because I think something we've discussed as a district often is communication. So we're hearing in real time an example that came before the board. Now, for the board members, the calendar we have in our drive is correct. Not correct, it is one that the union agreed to. And the way calendars are set up, you have to have a certain amount of in-class hours, you can only miss so many days, and we're a district that honors Eid, so we take from our other vacation days, because you don't get all of them, and we accommodate our students with that holiday. I think we're one of the very few in Michigan, but it's a way to be equitable to our students. But with that confusion at the end of the year, as you can see, something happened. We got the email. I'm glad we're on the same page now, but does anyone have any, thank you, Tony, for explaining it. And does anyone have any questions about the calendar? Any other discussion? All right. For attention, I'm glad we're on the same page now. Roll call vote, how do you vote? Geheim?
Aye.
Paul? Hedwin? Obey? Ferris? And I resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 absent. Now we're gonna move into audience participation. Do we need a recess or you wanna power through it? Power through it. As a reminder. To address any questions or concerns to the board will listen to comments and questions and advisement and not respond at this time. The presiding officer will refer questions to the super for research and response, Persons wishing to address the Board of Ed must complete the audience participation form and submit it to me before the meeting. Forms will be filled out in entirety. You get 3 minutes. First person is Mubashira Jannat. Come on up, you get 3 minutes.
I have been working this past year at ECE.
Oh, sorry.
Good evening. My name is Mubashira Jannat. I have been working this past year at ECE as a special needs paraprofessional. As a special needs para, we do many things to help our students, from helping children with their schoolwork within the classroom to mothering necessities like helping them eat and use the restroom and sometimes even changing their diaper. Sometimes we even experienced physical injuries like slaps, bites, or having our clothing or scarves like our hijabs yanked at or punched at. As a result of some of these injuries, we had to go to the doctor multiple times throughout this year. Even though this position required a lot of patience and hard work, we give it our all to see that our special friends received the support that they deserve. Today I am here to request additional compensation in response to the hardship us parents have received this school year. For the many extra work we do, such as translating, staying after school, assisting teachers, and not having a proper lunch due to lack of parents and employees. We do not even take a break due to not having any extra help. There are more students than special needs parents. We asked for help all year and received none of it. This is why I am here today to ask for help regarding our special friends and us all paraprofessionals. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Next up, Malika, if you're still here, Malika.
You ready? You filled it out twice, so if you want to speak again, you can. You're good? Okay. So, I'll get it. Next up is Mubarak Murzib. Come on up if you're here.
Good evening, school board. I'm here on behalf of my cousin, Abraham Muzib. My name, of course, is Mubarak Mozeb. He has concerns of the special education in the district. From what I heard from him, there's not enough, as she just mentioned, enough instructors. One of his main concerns was that they're only getting about 20 PT time a week. And so he wants to know, what are your improvements for next year? What do you have planned? And also, what are you going to do to attract more instructors to help these students with special needs? The thing is, too, is what are we going to do to improve the environment that we have here? He shared with me the letter of former compliance officer Heather Doroji. And, you know, when I read that, it really... it was shocking, honestly. It was like reading a storyboard for a soap opera. The title should have been Days of the School District. It was, the things were appalling. And I want to know what's gonna, you know, and the effects of the letter are gonna continue. More people, possible candidates to come to our school district will see that letter and think, hey, well, I don't want to, you know, these other places. I'll go to Bloomfield Hills, somewhere else, you know, with more resources and a better work environment. So, again, those two main concerns. What are we doing to improve the special ed curriculum, attract the more instructors, and what are we doing to improve the work environment and improve cohesion between management and the teachers so we can give our students a better chance of success? Thank you.
Next up, George Flores. George Flores.
Hello, HPS community and employees. Starting in the 2023-2024 school year, I have accepted a position in another district. First, I want to speak directly to my colleagues. I am sorry for leaving. I truly felt at one point, and up until very recently, that Hamtramck was my forever home. The last 2 years have been very difficult, and these last few months here have simply pushed me over the edge. The dysfunction of the district has simply become too much to deal with on a daily basis, and sadly, it's very likely to get worse before it gets better. If it ever gets better. Morale has never been lower since I've been at HPS, which makes me all the more sorry for leaving you all in such a dark time. I'd like to think the future will get better, but my brain is screaming it's time to leave the district, even while my heart aches for me to stay. You've all been amazing colleagues, and I've grown and learned so much from you. I will deeply miss each of you, and I pray things get better here. Second, to the board and district leadership. I don't need to state the obvious, that HPS faces serious issues. I'll share a piece of advice that has never steered me wrong. When making decisions, always put kids first, and the rest will work itself out. Right now, district leadership isn't doing what's best for kids, which is what you were democratically elected to do. Also, teachers' voices aren't being listened to or respected. I hope this changes. Finally, to my students, I love you all. I've given you all I could in my time at Hamtramck. I'm not leaving because of any. The only reasons I've stayed to try to make things better here for you. You are the best students a teacher could ever ask for, which makes this choice all the more agonizing. Let's teach you some important final lessons. Always put your health, both mental and physical, above anything else. Me moving on to a new district is doing just that. The next lesson is to never be afraid to make a big change. I was afraid to make a big change years ago when I came to Hamtramck, but coming here was the best decision I ever made. I am proud of the impact and reputation I've made here in the community, and I would never change that. But here I am again, making another big change, starting over yet again. But that's the lesson. Move forward. Take risks. Don't be afraid to change things. And most importantly, know your worth. And that's my final lesson to you. Know your worth. Know what you deserve in life and demand no less. If a person or a place doesn't respect or value you, stand up for yourself and move on. I can look myself in the mirror and know I fought as hard as I could to prevent the district from being in the position it is in now. Hamtramck will
30
always
seconds.
have a special place in my heart. But sometimes holding on to something does more damage than simply letting go. It's time to let go. Goodbye and thank you.
Thank you. Are you in the audience?
My name is Brooke Jones. I'm a kindergarten teacher at Dickinson East. And I'm going to kind of say George gave me a lot of spirit right now to get through what I'm going to get through. So I want to bring something from our contract. Article 4, Teachers' Rights and Responsibilities. Section 13, Communicable Diseases. A teacher absent from work because of any communicable disease contracted in connection with his teaching duties shall suffer no loss of pay and shall not have resolute absences charged against their accumulated sick bank. Starting at the second week of school, 10 of us at DE contracted COVID. We are trying to get our days back. We have been trying to get, the union has been working to get the days back since then, and we have not gotten them back. I know I got COVID from school. I took my daughter with me to get tested. She did not have COVID, and I did. Where else would I have got it from when no one else in my family got it? That goes for all 10 of us. We deserve and want our days back. It says in our contract that we get them. So that's something I would like to be considered. And also, again, from what George was saying, on June 6th, we received an email from our HR director. Hello to all. I'm sharing good news in that if you know of someone who might be interested in coming to Hamtramck to teach, we have the ability to pay them extra steps above step 8 if they can verify extra years of experience. Please pass this along to friends and colleagues. So I'm one of those people. I have lots of years of service. I do not have the years of service to Hamtramck. There's 30 of us. We are asking that we get those years of service. It is only fair that if you are going to have someone that has no relationship with Hamtramck, none, that they just come in off the streets, that they get step 8, step 16, and maybe longevity, who knows? I have been here. In fact, I was here in 2001. I got laid off. I came back in 2008. I did not get any years of service. I left in 2013 because of pay freezes, furlough days, 10% pay cut. I left to go to another district. My heart was in kindergarten. I came back here to teach kindergarten. We want to be here. The people that are here, we deserve our worth. I am worth this. My years of service matter.
20 seconds.
My students matter. What we do every day. And you know what? This was not good news for people like me and the 30 of us. This was not good news. We may be leaving. I think I've raged applied to quite a few districts. So you can do what you want, but we deserve it. We are worth it. And so are our kids. Thank you.
Heather Walsh. Heather Walsh.
Hello, my name is Heather Walsh. I teach 7th grade ELA at KMS. About this time last year, I stood before you during contract negotiations. I told you my story. I told you how I was hired in at step 0 even though I had 10 years of experience, only to see new employees hired in at step 8 just a few months later. At that board meeting last year, I asked you to consider me and others in my situation during negotiations. All I asked for was equality. I only wanted to be paid a salary that was equal to that of new employees with the same experience. It seemed like a fair request. However, it fell on deaf ears. As disappointed as I was, I stayed. I stayed for my students and I stayed for my team. Then I watched while board members gave themselves a raise. And interestingly, that raise was for everybody, not just the newly appointed board members, but all board members. Even the board members who did not want the raise received it. Last week, I received notification that the district will now hire new employees even beyond step 8, while I'm still at step 6 with 16 years of experience. I emailed the HR director to inquire if the new policy would be extended to current employees. I received no response. I followed up a few days later, and again, I was ignored. I was left to assume that I, again, would be denied an equal salary. To add insults to injury, the email informing me of the new steps policy asked me to spread the word. I can hardly imagine asking my friends and family to join me at Hamtramck Public Schools only for them to be hired in at a higher salary than my own. In addition, I know that in the fall, I'm going to receive an email asking me to mentor one of these new hires. I can guarantee you my answer will be no. Recently, a board member said that if we weren't happy, we could leave. That stuck with me, and now I wonder, if I did leave, and you were lucky enough to be able to replace me with another teacher with the same years of experience, would you give them the same salary that I am being refused? I believe you would. It's hard not to take that personally. If you have money to give new employees additional steps for experience, you have money to give current employees steps for experience. I want the board to understand what these types of decisions do to staff. They are demoralizing. They create division. They devalue our work. I understand you want to attract new employees, but it is equally important to take measures to keep the ones you already have. We deserve better. Thank you for listening.
All right, next up, we have Teresa Comer. Subject is resignation.
Hang on one second. Okay, I think I'm ready. Hi, as was said, my name is Therese Comer. A lot of people have said the things that I was thinking of saying, so I'm not going to try to go over the things that they've said. But I still am wondering, and again, I know you can't answer, but the people that are resigning, I don't understand why we don't do some type of exit interview to find out why they're leaving. We are still not there. I don't understand that. And also, this resignation letter that got sent and then unsent, I will tell you, when you guys think you're taking things back, the IT department works hard, but the teacher network works harder. So everybody has seen it. And if it were me in those being called out on certain things, especially things that involve Title IX investigations, I would be saying to the top of the roof, and including in my email, this is not true, or this didn't happen, or this is false. But it makes me wonder why nobody's kind of saying that. And again, there's no denial, there's an investigation, and nothing comes of it. But when you investigate an employee that tells students to go back to class, and they basically, that investigation takes, I don't know, a week or 2 weeks, and that person is gone. So again, I don't understand why things are happening like this. And maybe you guys know and just can't say, I don't know. But if I just don't understand, again, Title IX is a sexual, like, assault or some type of something, and I don't understand why that doesn't bother some of you. It just maybe it does and I don't see it because I'm not in your life. But it's like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And allegedly, one of the people who had this Title IX investigation is the person who told all of the teachers that we have to sit through a video on sexual harassment. That doesn't make sense to me. You can't tell me to do it and then you go do it, allegedly. So, again, I'm just gonna say this. When you kind of sit here and we don't see anything, there's no motion, no movement, it's like you're agreeing with it or you're saying it's okay. Or in other words, it's how to say you don't care without saying you don't care. Thank you.
Thank you. Christina Gerstacker. Christina Gerstacker.
I just wanted to take a minute. Last board meeting, the beginning of May, a lot of us from DW spoke out about wanting to be included in the conversation. And we were just very appreciative because that was upheld. We had a great meeting at Dickinson West. Staff was invited. We had Mrs. Ahmed join us. We had Rich join us, Mr. Nichai. We actually got to sit down and talk about plans for what is going to happen with the portables. And we actually felt like our voices were being heard and taken into consideration. So I wanted to thank you guys for making sure that happened. In terms of Dickinson West, I know that we're going to be needing a new administrator soon. Since we were invited to the table to talk about the building, we would love to stay invited to the table to talk about our next administrator and included in that too. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up. Next up, Tony Coral. Tony Coral. There is a time limit. When you're ready.
Let me first state that I and many HFT members are disappointed in the board's silence and thus lack of support for both HPS students and staff who are members of the LGBTQ+ community. Such silence endangers lives and undermines human rights and democracy. Secretive and furtive behavior by publicly elected officials also undermines democracy. I would like to highlight 2 examples of this board's secretive behavior. The first example has been happening since January. Frankly, I'm angry at myself for not having noticed. Since January, the board has not voted to approve invoices and check registers. Other school boards vote to approve invoices and check registers. It is one way to provide financial transparency. This board stopped doing that. The last vote for invoices and check register was December 2022, 6 months ago. Why is that? The second example of secretive behavior was kind of discussed at the May regular meeting. There was a brief discussion about the auditing firm the district uses. In that discussion, Mrs. Lynham stated that she received an email informing her that the board wanted a new auditing firm. That seemed to surprise some board members. That made me curious, so I filed a Freedom of Information Act request for all communication about changing auditing firms. Mrs. Lyman provided 55 pages of emails, including the one from the superintendent, telling Mrs. Lynham to look for a new firm because the board no longer wanted to use Yao and Yao. I do have copies of that email if any of you are interested. What I did not receive was the communication from the board, whether it was a member or the whole board, but based on the people's response, I don't think it was the whole board, to the superintendent. I do not believe the board as a whole made this decision, which means a board member or members acted upon their own personal agendas. Who ordered the search for a new auditing firm? Who acted as if they alone speak for the board? There are a few adages that fit what is happening right now with HPS. The one I think fits best is this: if it looks like a duck, swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. If the board does not want people to think it is doing shady things, then stop doing things that are shady. Thank you.
Next up is Anthony Kiner. Anthony Kiner.
Hello, I'm here on behalf of HA, which is the Administrator Union, to talk about one of our colleagues that was put on leave. About 2 months ago, you guys actually voted him back for renewal. and then he was put on leave. I'm not asking for him to come back, because I don't know where that investigation is, but what we are asking for, and what we asked the superintendent for, is updates. Because we have to represent him as the HA, that's our legal duty, is to represent that member. We're asking for updates of, is an investigation even going on, right? We don't know that. We don't know what evidence is even used to put him on leave. The other one is, we're asking who is doing the investigation. I mean, those should be really easy to answer. Like, those are pretty layups. In my book, I'm a basketball guy, layups, right? So we should be able to be offered that. We're not asking for what the actual investigation has come out to. We're just asking out where it is, who's doing it, and the last thing is, if that member is interviewed, can he come into the building? Those are things that we asked for about a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, from our superintendent and our HR director. They said they would give us updates when there's updates. There's been no updates. We would just like those answers for him, so we can represent him as a union member. We have to represent him for the board, and we would just like to do that. So if we could please get those updates, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine Stafford? Catherine Stafford.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Stafford. I've been in the district over 26 years. I work for Talbeda. We have been going back and forth, myself and Threa, with the union, with coming to board meetings at 7 in the morning, trying to get a proposal from the union. On June 2nd, the union proposed a $5 pay raise and a 5% increase for 2024-25. June 7th, another proposal was made. Then that was a 1777, then up to 1919. June 8th, another proposal came up. 1875 for 10 years plus experience. I do not agree with this proposal, as I have over 26 years of service. It is not fair to have someone with 10 years or less getting paid more than I am when they should have it in groups. 20 years plus should have more, 10 years up should have more. We should not all be starting at 1875 as the union was proposing to the board. So that was all I needed to say.
I didn't propose that, that came from the district.
Oh, you guys sat here in that meeting.
No, the
Thank
district
you.
proposed it.
Thank you.
Next up, Jessica Madden. Jessica Madden.
I'll be very brief. I'm one of the 30. I taught at KMS in 2004. Tomorrow I'll finish my 18 years of teaching, 18 full school years, and I'm on a step 8. I was hired back I was laid off 2004-2005 because the program was cut. Was hired back in 2014 at a step 0, even though I had 10 years of teaching experience. So I'd just like to say, like, there are a lot of us. The other thing is, with our great colleagues that are leaving, it makes it really hard. So if you all can work to do whatever needs to be done to mend these rifts, to give confidence back to the staff, it would be really appreciated. Otherwise, it's not a threat, it's just, it makes it very, very, very challenging. So thank you.
Thank you. Threa Saleh. Or Salah, I'm sorry. It is Salah? It's not like your name.
Hi, good evening. My name is Threa Saleh. I'm here again
to ask about the parapro pay for the long-time workers that have been working for the district, dedicated parapros, loyal to the district, working hard, doing so many duties. And I want an update. I would like an update because we have met with the district and the union. We came to an agreement. Everything was good. I thought today we would come into a resolution and we would get something for what we deserve. We deserve a raise. We deserve something for us for all the hard work we have done. I've never spoke before, but this is like something I have to fight for myself because I feel like nobody's sticking up for me for all the hard work that I've been doing. So as hard as it is for me to be up here and to speak up, I felt the need that I have to. So please listen to my concerns and to all the other hardworking parapros and give us a raise, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Ibrahim Mezeb. I heard from your cousin a little bit earlier. How are you?
It's Abraham Mazeed. I wanted to know what plans do you guys have for next year for special education, especially with when it comes to preschool, kindergarten, and those early on age grades. And I know there was a plan back in October or November, but nothing ever came from it. I'm hoping that we're going to do some actual steps for the upcoming year. Because my daughter ended up getting her IEP, I think in March. There was only a few months of school left from there. And another thing is, I see all these teachers complaining, and I don't blame them. You guys need to build up the morale. You guys are trying to hire new teachers, but you guys have existing ones that are leaving. So I think you guys need to do a better job at building, relationships or the morale with the teachers, and then give the parapros a bump raise on their salary or hourly, whatever it is. They do a lot. I see it, and I don't think they're getting compensated for what they do. Hoping by the next meeting, you guys can come up with a plan for special education. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have 10 minutes to do additional board discussion. I do want to remind everyone to respect the union's right to bargain. We do not do it in public. They get to do it. They have the right to do it in private. So please do not discuss bargaining as board members. You will get all of us in trouble, but you can ask questions about the process. Don't make suggestions for the bargain. Does that make sense? Don't get the unions caught up, please. 10 minutes of discussion. I wanted to come back to something first, if that's okay. You started talking about it when we voted for the AP courses, and I think I've had this conversation with Mr. Kiner before. Post-secondary options are not just college-related, right? And we've had an uptick in students wanting specific college preparatory tracks. Now, we're not a high school that provides a 5-year high school yet where you can get an associate's. Fingers crossed that's in the plans. But I do wanted to bring to the attention to the admins of the high school, if there's a way to look into also dual enrollment. I love that we have AP courses for GPA bumps, but every time I've asked for the statistics on our students who pass their AP exams, it's abysmally, it is bad. And it's not to say that our students can't do well, but we're a district that doesn't have the advantage of being able to take those tests equitably, right? We're not one of those districts that was designed for standardized tests. So our students are at a disadvantage with that. However, I have seen when students take dual enrollment courses, they do well in them and they get the college credit. And for a lot of students, they don't understand that when you take an AP course, you have to get a 3 or higher, to get your points for college credit. So if that can be explained to students, because a lot of them, oh cool, I get a 5.0 and I get the college credit, they don't realize they have to pass the exam. That's been a consistent issue ever since I was a kid as well. Give them the option to do dual enrollment, especially if you can see that they don't test well on any other standardized test, because it's not going to miraculously get better with the AP. So I wanted to bring that up. I don't want to bring it up during the vote. If that can be talked about for strategy at the high school,
I'd really appreciate it because all the students that I've seen do dual enrollment have passed because they are capable of doing coursework. It's just standardized tests set them up to fail. And I wanted to bring that up and then discuss options of having more control over their schedules. A lot of the students don't have control over their schedules until they're like juniors or seniors. But some students know that if they can take a college class as a freshman or sophomore, they're capable of understanding what a college course requires. That might motivate them to have some credits lined up, which can get them better scholarships, because they can show that they are capable of doing college even if standardized tests don't reflect that. Because that is an unfair thing to look at a student's two numbers, GPA and standardized test. And if you screwed up and you were working your way up to progress, you don't really have a chance to prove yourself. So it's kind of long-winded, but I really want emphasis on giving students proper information on AP, allowing them to sign up where they want to for the dual enrollment, and then giving them more control even as freshmen. So that's for me, it just came up during the AP. Kiner, come on, I know there's more to
I just
come.
want to say, we have 250 kids signed up for dual enrollment this year, so it's an increase of like 300%.
But are they still mostly juniors and seniors?
No, all the way down to freshmen.
Incoming
We're trying
freshmen.
to offer a 4-year track.
Perfect. Can you guys share that stats with Ms. Ahmed? Thank you, because the AP, I'm telling you, a lot of kids don't know that they have to pass that exam, and it throws them off because they get the GPA bump, which is great, but then you don't get college credits for any of those classes, So I just wanted to bring that up when we were talking about that. Anything else? Sorry, again, don't mess with the bargaining. You can talk about the process, but don't ruin it for them. That matters to me, and I think we're at a point in the year where we can plan accordingly, but really giving freshmen and sophomores more access to their own schedules and their own track in high school. Anyway.
For the past year, I think we've been hearing about the issues with special ed.
Yep.
Please, we're asking to come up with a plan for these students, for these parents, to understand what's going on and what can we do this year.
Can you give us, sorry, you brought that up, Mr. Hood, can you actually bring us clarity on if any of the existing issues have been resolved? Because it sounds like, based on what the parents said, that nothing really has moved forward since the last year with some of the concerns. I think can we start with the existing problems and see if we can mitigate some of those in the future plan?
And just, plan on what we're gonna do with ECE and honestly, spreading out the students who have IEPs and making it to where one school is not responsible for the majority of those students. Because I think that, we should utilize each school, and if their students are closest to their home school, that versus just trying to stick them, all the students into one building.
And then anything else? All right, resolution 22, adjourned. Do I have a motion? Hadwan, do I have a second? Geheim, motion by Hadwan, second by Geheim. Resolved that the regular meeting be adjourned at 8:45 p.m. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-1 now. Thank you.